Da, 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 da. Hello. I'm so sleepy. I fell asleep at 7:30 and I had the alarm set for 9:45. That's not enough time for sleep. It's enough time for some sleep. Time to do an all-nighter. I basically did. Hello. Oh, I forgot to get water. And this is enough for a stream. What is this, like a cup and a half? I don't know. Hello. What do you think of Golden Wind? I'm not a huge fan of part 5 relative to the other parts, but it's still good. Twitter liberals are arguing. Oh, thank you, Vermin. Twitter liberals are arguing the 41% meme in favor of gun illegalization for trans people. Is this gun illegalization or just discouraging trans people from getting guns? Look at the statutes because they're more likely to use this. Yep. Is this? I don't know if this is a legalization. I think it's just discouraging. Oh, great! I love looking at Twitter conversations. Oh, the ownership of firearms is statistically likely to make you less safe, not more safe. That is a fact. Can't get around it. Probably more so for groups with higher rates of suicidality. That's just how it is. Got to keep that in mind. Got to factor that in. How you all doing? Are the Twitter conservatives still arguing we don't have the right to protest justices? Well, they're throwing out a couple of arguments, you know. As is often the case with conservatives, it's not so much about them having an argument as it is them shotgun firing any argument they can, you know, just sort of vaguely in the direction of the point and seeing whatever sticks, or, you know, more realistically, just sort of wasting people's time. Yeah, it's this and this. Yeah, yeah. You know, I saw this. People are people are freaking out about Kavanaugh having a big crowd protesting outside of his place. You know, which is fun. I think there's this right here, which is turn down donor alert. Yeah, we had TTS on there. I've turned it down. Ignore the Glenn Greenwald tweet and ignore all that. Just look at this thing that Glenn Greenwald is responding to. It's just a shorthand that I'm doing here. Protest happening outside Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's house. A lot of people out there. So that's cool, you know. That's fun. Browsing through my likes on stream. What a dangerous prospect. Xi Jinping, Hermione Granger, Bashar al-Assad, Harry Potter, Nicholas Maduro, Ron Weasley. Yep. There we go. Oh, hi progressive. Where is it? Where is it? We really shouldn't be browsing through my likes on stream. You know, I will like not safe for work. Oh, we're about to talk to Dylan Burns. Yeah, I didn't even know Dylan Burns' mother passed until I saw this tweet. Oh, this is the tweet. Breaking, somebody vandalized and allegedly threw Molotov cocktails into Wisconsin Family Actions, an anti-abortion rights group. Madison office writing with graffiti, if abortions aren't safe, then you aren't either. And here we have the, literally, because, you know, a woman did it. The most legible graffiti, the neatest graffiti you're ever going to see in your life. And then you have the damage to the interior, which, yeah, that looks like what I imagine throwing a Molotov through a window would do. Now, people in the comments are saying that this is made up. This is like fake, like they did it to themselves. And of course, you know, say what you will. If it's fake, real damage was done here. You know, it's not like just spray painting on a sidewalk or whatever. You know, you can handle the optics discourse however you want. I disavow. Yeah, see, a lot of people in the comments are saying, "Oh, it's made up." Is it? Yes, it is. Completely made up. We would never. No, nobody would ever do. Using property damage as a way of protesting the revocation of civil rights? Come on. You think we would do that? Well, if we did, and we didn't, but you know, if we the left did, then I disavow completely. That's horrible. I can't believe somebody would uh God, look at this. What is this? Is this antique carpeting that I see right here? Can't believe somebody would damage stuff like that, you know? It's crazy. That poor property. Yeah. Me when I knock over my ashtray. Yeah. Well, you know, the horrible, horrible, alleged acts of property destruction aside, what's your opinion on Washington State extended magazine ban? Dumb and gay. How am I supposed to have an enormous firearm collection if all of my guns, especially a rifle, like, oh, dude, here's my rifle, and it 10 bullets? Okay. It's a like, okay, sure, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's only a ban on purchase. You can go over to Idaho, I've heard. You can just go buy it over there. It's a meaningless law. If they were pro-life, they would have had a extinguisher. Yeah. How y'all doing, people? I am devastatingly sleep deprived. We're going to be talking to Dylan first. When I get a DM from Dylan, we'll go ahead with that. Plenty to talk about today, and we are going to be going at it in an expedient and efficient manner so that I don't die. Your take on gun control is cringe. Hello, neighborhood lib. So noted. New York City only allows 5 rounds max. Yeah, and it's done so much to reduce the gun crime there. Ah, thank goodness. Thank goodness in New York City. But if somebody if no, stupid. I'm not even. 5 rounds, just bring 5 guns. True. Yeah, listen. You take a 30-round magazine, you cut it down to 5. I'll just hold 6 rifles at once, baby. Come on. But you know what you know what we call that? We call that sextuple shooting. You know, it's like firing out an arc. You've got like a piece of rebar through the trigger guard, and you're just like holding them like stacked like a bunch of books, and you just pull back on the rebar to fire all of them at once, you know? You see the US military is finally adopting a new rifle? No? I don't know why we didn't just stick with the Garand. No. Um, oh, the Army recently awarded a contract to manufacture Sig Sauer for 2 new soldier weapons, the XM5 rifle and the XM250 automatic rifle. Nice. Now, fatalities will go through the roof as all these rifles discharge when they drop on the ground. Let me see how they look. Damn, this is going to be the standard rifle? Doesn't this look British? This just reminds me of a British gun, you know. It doesn't feel looks kind of cool. It's not terrible. I mean, look, if it's effective, it's effective. They can paint it a different color. We have the tech for that. Bit fruity. What the hell are you talking about? Well, it's the British battle rifle. The SA-80? Is that it? I don't know. Maybe it's just the color scheme. I'm just used to the color scheme for like American. Oh, they don't look anything alike. Oh yeah, I forgot they have a bullpup style rifle. Yeah, it does look like the Scar a little bit. Yeah. How'd the old one look like? Hold on. Yeah, the M4A1. It's I mean, I think when you see like this is just like standard gun, right? It only holds 20 rounds. It's a new ammo type. Wait, what? No, bullshit. Wait. What? That has to be a joke. 6.8 millimeter? Oh my fucking god, they're deliberately trying to bankrupt us. Oh my fucking god, they're going to adopt a new cartridge. Every new bullet's going to cost $8 to manufacture, and they're going to make billions of them. Oh my god, why? This is like this is like Apple shit. It's like, oh, hey, you want an Apple product? Well, I hope you enjoy needing a fucking adapter for your earbuds. What the fuck? This video explains everything. They better have a good body armor penetration. Dude, we don't fight countries that have soldiers with body armor. Our highly equipped military is gunning down insurgents in deserts, okay? When we fight another country that's well equipped enough to put body armor in their troops, we will simply nuke them. We don't need this. If we ever get in a shootout with countries capable of fielding infantry with body armor, and we're like in trouble because their body armor, like we'll just nuke them. This video explains. Hold on. I'm angry. Do you have any idea how expensive this is going to be? Do you have any fucking idea? Do you know how expensive it is to manufacture a new cartridge? Do you know why 9mm ammunition is cheap? It's because everyone makes it. Because billions of 9mm rounds are made. Like, it's just the mechanism for production is highly refined. A new what?
The U.S. Army is officially switching to the 6.8 by 51mm XM5 main battle rifle and the XM250 machine gun. It's going to replace the decades-old 5.56mm M4 and M249. This is an expensive switch valued at a total of $4.5 billion over the course of the next 10 years. This massive change...
That's BS. It's going to be more than that. That's BS right there. Full new battle rifle for the entire U.S. military with new cartridge and all the ammunition needed for it. Yeah, no, the idea that's going to go for anything less than in the long run, like than like $100 billion. No, this is going to be like crazy expensive. Who fielded that estimation? What? Who did? Sig Sauer? Who did this?
Signals to us that the U.S. military is worried about confronting a major world superpower like China and Russia. This is the
pretty sure it's just the army right now. This is just the army. It's not. Okay.
Most historic.
They're only making 125K. What the fuck is the point? Okay.
Change in over a major world superpower like China and Russia.
If we fought China or Russia, we would nuke them.
This is the most historic change in over half a century for the U.S. military. I have a theory as to why the only weapon they didn't replace is the M240. But we'll get into that later. Everyone else gets to retire but you. Back to work, M240. Any change in the military at this scale will be risky, and there will be the possibility that this will be a huge mistake. At the very least, there's going to be challenges ahead to...
5.56 falls short over long distances. I need you to understand how little it matters, okay? It does not matter, okay? There is no conflict that America is going to lose that it might have won if only its rifles could reliably kill people at 800 meters instead of 500 meters. Like, have you seen what's going on in Ukraine right now? Like, even between two relatively less equipped countries, the conflict is coming down to drone strikes, like artillery fire, missiles. Like, the idea, like, you know, yeah. This is like RuneScape logic. It's like, yeah, if only we had level 99 in our swordsmanship instead of like level 83, we would have been able to. And you're fighting like level 1 grunts. Like,
overhaul the military.
Drone can't hold land. You know what can hold land? The U.S. military in its current state. Please do not justify our military industrial complex Do in my chat, okay? Do not with this. We have a more expensive military than the next 10 countries combined, and you go, well, this allows them to pinpoint precisely kill a Taliban insurgent from 8 billion miles. Vosh, NATO directly fought and killed Russian Syria. Yes, we do it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. There's no military on... If you take away the nukes, there's no military on Earth we can't beat. Add the nukes, there's still no military on Earth we can't beat, because the world would end. It doesn't matter. You're kind of going overboard suggesting the US military can achieve any military goal. It's powerful what we fail missions on. We don't fail missions because our bullet drop-off is at like 2 kilometers instead of 3. We fail missions because of poor operational support and poor planning to begin with. The point isn't that we can do anything. It's that there aren't things that we can't do that we could if we only spend 80 bajillion more dollars on next-gen... Stop. No, stop. I'm not getting triggered by you guys. Okay, all of you go back to playing fucking Destiny 2 or whatever, fucking Arma or some shit, where in Arma, like, you're just like, dude, if I could just get a buff on this gun, if the drop-off of this gun was only slightly less, that I could have gotten that shot. Shut up. I don't care.
Military's training, tactics, and fighting doctrine. In this video, we're going to examine if the U.S.
Wait, this is huge! I thought this was... Wait, okay, sorry. Maybe I thought this was smaller from the picture.
Training, tactics, and fighting doctrine. In this video, we're going to examine if the U.S. Army is up to the task. Did they make the right decision, or...
This is a Civi model? I assume it's the same frame, just not automatic. 2 pounds heavier than M4. It's heavier?! It's heavier than the M4?
Giant blunder by switching to the 6.8 XM5. Okay, I have a quick update on the behind the scenes at Task and Purpose. As you know, we're investing a lot of money into the freelance video editors, full-time staff. We're making the best content we can. But in order to do that, we need to partner. The best part is shipping is always free. Dash, they've been around for 13 years. We want to talk about how to scale.
Holy shit, this is like 5 minutes of the video that are...
Produces about 2 billion rounds of ammunition each year, which will represent 5% of soldiers are actually combat arms roles. For each troops, the weapons will be reclassified to the M5 and the M250, dropping the X from the name. This signifies that the initial trial phase is over and they're ready to go into full production. At that point, they will scale up to arming 120,000 soldiers with these weapons. That number represents all of the infantry, Cav scouts, combat engineers, medics, and forward observers. Remember, only about 25% of soldiers are actually combat arms roles. So the rest, like your supply, logistics soldiers, they will all likely be holding on to the M4 for the foreseeable future. The initial order will cost taxpayers around $20.4 million. An additional $20 million was...
I'm not trusting any of these budgetary numbers. I don't trust any of them. I don't care. You could have Jesus Christ himself come down from heaven and tell me, oh yeah, dude, this whole new gun rollout with an entirely new cartridge that we're inventing is just gonna be like, you know, like 30 million or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Awarded to begin production of the revolutionary new 6.8 by 51mm steel hybrid brass ammunition at Utah's Lake City plant.
Lighter.
This location produces about 2 billion rounds of ammunition each year, which will represent the vast majority of U.S. military small arms ammo. At the end of the competition, it came down to the 2 very different weapon systems. The Army chose not to go with the bullpup and its polymer plastic-cased ammo. Some of the potential reasons for why...
I can't believe we almost had a bullpup.
With the bullpup and its polymer plastic-cased ammo. Some of the potential reasons for why I think they made this decision is that it might have come down to the fact that General Dynamics did not have a belt-fed machine gun option. It could have been seen as the more risky of the 2 options. You know, bureaucratic organizations are notoriously risk-adverse, and it could be the case that the Army was worried soldiers wouldn't be able to adjust to the bullpups easily. It's also very possible, I think, that SIG's weapons were far more accurate and had better effects on target. As many of you know, I've been following this weapons competition very closely for the past 3 years. My unhealthy obsession with this program is what brought many of you to subscribing to this channel in the first place. Many look at every other major military around the world, pretty much all currently use a weapon and ammo type that is similar to the smaller 5.56mm M4, including Russia and China. Here, just take a look at how much bigger the XM5 is compared to Russia's AK-12.
Why? Why would we be scaling our guns up? Why?
Yes, I got the scale perfect. And China's QBZ 191. Now look at their ammunition side by side. Compare it to China. That's a lot of extra firepower.
In fact, the U.S. military are the very ones who originally created the whole trend of switching away from a giant caliber to a small one back in the 1960s. But some analysts believe this is a high caliber mistake. The Army Times published an article outlining all of the reasons why some believe this is a return to the old, obsolete, high-powered battle rifle philosophy from the
Oh, fuck. Yeah, okay, good. Other people get it. Yeah. Guys, one of the issues we had back in the Vietnam War. Okay, how do I there's been a move over the past like 100 years to make rifles smaller so that they're easier to move around, because old rifles used to be like really really long, like you can see, you know. And also during the Vietnam War, America was like, hey, we have all these GIs marching around the Vietnamese swamps, and like this ammo is really heavy. What if we made the ammo less heavy? And then God came down from the heavens and gave us the 5.56. And it's the best bullet, and we don't need anything else, okay? But yeah, but now we're going back to like, dude, what if we did big bullets? Like, what military engagement are we losing? Because yeah, also NATO is just adopting the AR platform, which means that we're going to be using a different ammunition type than our fucking
1950s.
The M14 was replaced in the 1960s for a lot of the same reasons that military analysts are critical of the new NGSW.
What if you only blow off half a civilian
shots? It took a longer time to train on because of the higher recoil. It only had 20-round magazines instead of 30 rounds. You could only carry half the amount of ammo because it was heavier, and its recoil was twice as powerful, which made it difficult to make follow-up shots. So,
isn't it weird to look at a gun like that and see it being automatic? Was twice as powerful. Like, this doesn't look like an automatic gun when we think of it, right? Like, nowadays we look at that and think like, oh, it's like a hunting rifle. But it's like, yeah, it's an automatic.
Difficult to make follow-up shots. So what's going on here? It sounds like the Army's clear.
Yeah, it's just, wait, that's auto? Yeah, that's the M14, right? Which is a, yeah, that's... This. Well, it's not really. This is the Mini 14, but it's based off the same gun. This is basically like, well, the person who made the Mini 14 said that, well, it was meant to be like an improvement on the M14 in some ways, and of course it's not automatic. Demonstration? No. Does that one run 762? No, I am an American and I use 5.56. Thank you.
Difficult to make follow-up shots. So what's going on here? It sounds like the Army's clearly taking a step backwards to this old, outdated type of rifle with the XM5. I believe there are three key technologies that have changed warfare drastically since the 1950s and are forcing this change to happen now. First, the rise of cheap scopes. Second, the creation of ballistic...
Dylan's ready. We'll finish this when we're done talking with Dylan. This feels kind of relevant anyway. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey!
How's it going?
Doing good. We're learning why the United States military feels it necessary to adopt a new battle rifle, which uses an entirely new type of cartridge. And I'm very unhappy right now, Dylan.
Oh yeah, they did that. I forgot about that. Yeah.
The news must have slipped me by. How you doing?
I'm doing A-okay. I'm doing peachy keen considering the situation.
Which particular situation? There are a couple of situations happening right now, Dylan. Can you be more specific?
Well, one is it's Mother's Day, and that's always like a difficult day for me.
Right.
The other one is it's you know, I'm on the Polish-Ukrainian border, and I am still alive and kicking. I'm in good spirits, and all my preparations are in place. So, and I finished filming in Poland, so that's also wonderful.
Yeah, you're making a full-on documentary. I don't know, I imagine a lot of, but not all of my audience is familiar with exactly what you're doing. Would you mind filling us in?
Sure. So I have flown over to Poland, and I plan to, in the near future, very near future, gets closer by the day, I had to do some rescheduling due to some passport issues, cross into Ukraine to interview even more people. My goal is to highlight the civilian cost of war, exactly how destructive the war has been. I think usually how these documentaries work is they cover warfare and battles and the moving of the front line, and I want to give a more civilian infrastructure, kind of the main victim of war being civilians and their homes approach of this documentary. And so I've interviewed a lot of Polish government officials. I've interviewed mayors. I've interviewed the local Polish work office. I interviewed the former Deputy Secretary of State of Poland on Polish foreign policy. I've interviewed a lot of Polish locals. I've interviewed Ukrainian refugees from the East. And I feel that is now necessary for me to get even better interviews, for me to enter into Ukraine. Right now, I have 15 to 20 hours of footage. I have enough footage to make a documentary out of what I have already, but I feel that going into Ukraine is necessary to make it the best documentary it can be.
Yeah, you need the action scenes to really pump up the the drama in the documentary. Just so to clarify, before I ask more questions on the whole conflict, are you pro Russia or Ukraine?
Ooh, you're asking the tough questions today. Ooh, yeah. China's not involved in this one, right? I can't be pro China here. No. Okay.
Well, I mean, China says that they just want a return to peace and stability in the region. So I think they're being very Christ-like in that respect.
Okay, I'll take the Iranian state position. Whatever they said, I'll take. Okay, but no, yeah, I'm pro Ukraine. I'm very pro Ukraine. I've been very open with the fact that I'm extremely pro Ukraine. I'm not going to pretend in my documentary that I'm not pro Ukraine. I am pro the country that is getting invaded and having its population raped and murdered.
That is completely fair. Yes, we have yeah, we know about the news coming out of the places in the periphery of Kiev were occupied by Russian soldiers, and what they left in their wake. I guess if anything, they've given credence to the Ukrainians referring to them as orcs leading into the invasion.
Yeah, I personally try not to use the term because I feel that it's very easy for me, having heard the stories I have heard and having done the interviews that I have done and seen the footage that I have seen, it's very easy for me to dehumanize people. Definitely those who have done the act. And I'm trying to do my best not to do to my own mind. It's more difficult now than ever.
It also feels
I'm trying.
Racist. That term feels, even if it's an anti-Russian thing, and you could say that's an ethnicity, because it's not like a race thing for Ukrainians. They're pretty similar people ethnically, really.
Yep.
But it's got that vibe to it. But I get that. I'm having a tremendous amount of fun.
It's like if I said Russian dogs,
Yeah, it's fine. I'm having lots of fun dehumanizing Republicans over here in the wake of all this anti-abortion stuff. So we're doing our best out here, Dylan.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm not going to be the one going around to Ukrainian refugees and like tone policing them. Like, hey, I know your uncle was just blown to bits by a Russian airstrike, but could you try to not use the term orc to describe the person who killed your uncle? Like, I'm not going to be that guy.
Yeah, you need to be the stereotype of like the Western paternalistic progressive who goes around the poor, benighted, unenlightened Ukrainians and reminds them of how hurtful their life. Listen, okay? Putin isn't going to hear you call him a bitch, but your wife will. Think twice before you use that language.
Very, very true. Unbelievably true, man. Oh my God, man. One of the questions that I've been asking a lot of people is like, after I've asked all the other questions, I'll ask them, what do you think of Vladimir Putin? And my God, literally half of them just said I will not answer because I don't think what I would say could be legally considered a threat.
If I speak, I am in trouble. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Well, they're probably fine over there. You're in Poland, what Polish judiciary would convict somebody for making a death threat against Putin,
I don't know. They might give them a medal.
Yeah, exactly. It's a quick way to make it in government. God. So I wanna know, obviously a lot of this stuff, we'll wait for the documentary to come out? I know it'll take a while. Editing always does.
Yep. 2 to 3, probably 2 to 3, maybe even 4 months. It's going to be a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I expect so. And you know, it's worth the wait too. So, you know, waiting a good product. And is there anything, are there any like highlights you can share with us that you don't feel would detract from the stranglehold?
Oh, sure. Sure. I'm fair. I'm perfectly fine sharing a lot of what's in it. I think what happens in Ukraine is probably going to be like the lion's share of the documentary anyway. So I want to make sure I talk about as much as I can, because a lot of this isn't going to make it in it. I mean, I already have 20 hours of some footage, right? And I got to file this down to an hour 30. And I'm going to probably end up having 60, 70, 80 hours of footage. So there's so much to talk about. I would say one thing I could highlight is that I would say that a lot of people are giving a lot of praise to Poland. And when you hear that, and I agree that a lot of praise should be given to Poland, but that praise is then leveled at the government, right? Like the Polish government should be praised. And I want to emphasize that I think that's the wrong approach. The national government of Poland hasn't really done a lot when it comes to responding effectively to the refugee crisis. The best thing they did was open the borders. It is the local municipality governments that have done more, and the people who have done the most have been individual Polish citizens, NGOs, and like local municipalities. These are the things that have done the most. One example of this would be a local MMA fighter that I got to interview, who actually turned his MMA gym into a center to host refugees.
Holy
and he
shit.
did it within 8 hours of the war starting. And very, very quickly, because I'm in Lublin, which is very close. Even though this is closer to Lechna, but that's near Lublin. I don't need to reference all these small Polish towns. He turned his MMA gym into a center to host refugees, and very, very quickly, word got around by word of mouth or social media to these refugees, and they just started coming in waves to this MMA gym, and slowly, very brave Vosh, and slowly all these people started to flood into the MMA gym, and they started hosting these people, mostly women and children, because of course Ukrainian law states that Ukrainian men have to stay in order to fight against the Russian invasion. And I was talking to this guy about because every single person, every politician, everybody talked to just told me this guy's name, that this is the guy to talk to. He's like basically the hero. And he was unbelievably humble in the way, like, don't talk about me, talk about the refugees, talk about this, please cover this. And he was super emphasized.
You know, don't pay any attention to me, okay? It's just, it's about the people, as he, you know, does a double
I can say
bicep.
I've heard people say that before. He was 100% being genuine in it.
No, I'm teasing. No, anyone who would do that. No, I'm not the kind. I don't want everyone to assume cynicism, unless there are real alarm bells. What they did is amazing.
Vosh is attacking the Polish people. I understand. Anyway,
well, hey, listen. As one of them, it's my right to, as a Polak.
Can I just say, 30 to 40% of the population just look like you? It's actually insane.
Yeah, people. The whole Irish thing is a false flag.
Can I just tell you, I've got multiple like interviews just written as Polish Vosh 1, Polish Vosh 2, because they just look like you.
Yeah, well, here, listen to all you thirst posters in my chat. See, that's where you have to go if you want a guy like me. Okay, some gigantic 6'3", fat, hairy Polak with a thick beard. They can drink though. I'm a lightweight, so that's a critical distinction.
They can very, very much drink, and the liquor is extremely cheap here. So I'm interviewing this guy, and he's giving me a lot of like emotionally charged answers, very good answers about how the trauma that the kids have experienced, and these parents not knowing how to explain to their kids exactly what's going on, and how difficult it is for these mothers to be away from their husbands who are back home fighting. And I remember eventually, and this is, you know, an MMA fighter, MMA trainer who has trained fighters who have gone on to fight in the UFC. And I remember finally getting to the question of, after he gives me a lot of really good detailed answers, I get to the question of, so what do you think of Vladimir Putin? And he just kind of, and I remember, I don't even fully remember the full answer he gave me, but I remember it being very violent. And eventually, he just took out his phone and he just showed me a picture of Vladimir Putin hanging. that he just had on his phone.
Which he
He said
did. He had just hung Vladimir Putin and taken a photo of it before returning back to his gym.
he pointed to this picture and said, "This is my policy on Vladimir Putin."
You know, they're all like, all of the Ukrainians and Polish people are like, every night they're dreaming of it. You know, it's like a Saw film in their mind.
Dude, I mean, if you look at my Twitter today, like there's art everywhere of like of Vladimir Putin's just head being cut off, or Vladimir Putin dressed up as Adolf Hitler, or just like multiple like depictions of the man getting like run over or shot. I mean, there is so much anger towards Vladimir Putin, and which I think that is interesting for I think a lot of Polish people to find this response, because the history of Ukraine and Poland is extremely complicated, and that there has been a lot of hatred between Poland and Ukraine, and militias who have killed Polish people and militias who have killed Ukrainian people as they have fought, you know, to establish where exactly the border lies. And so, in fact, that's why a lot of the far right nationalists in this country, those are really the only people I can find in this country that are not for taking in refugees and don't support Ukraine, or the far right nationalists who point to that history to say the Ukrainians didn't help us. Why should we help the Ukrainians?
It's interesting to me that you say the Polish government has not done much. The hatred is with the people, because that tracks with what I've heard. You know, the people of Poland,
With the exception of municipalities, which caught up a lot faster.
The local stuff. But as I understand it, you know, the Polish and the Russian governments have always had a terse but mutually beneficial relationship for a variety of cultural and economic reasons. And a lot of it has been, the impression that I've gotten is that it's the Polish national government going like to their people, you know, okay, like I know, but let's work with them, and Putin trying to work within that. And my guess is that right now the Polish national government is hedging its bets a little bit with regards to its behavior, but like the people of Poland despise Russia. And who could blame them, right? I mean, how much time have they suffered occupation? You know, it's not at all unreasonable for them to feel that way.
I think it's a few things. I think one is that it's very difficult to have a national centralized response to a refugee crisis that just sort of pops up, that not a lot of people were expecting. I think one lesson that I've taken away from this is that countries should have plans like this in place if there's even the slightest risk that a war might break out in advance, and it needs to be a centralized response, centralized data systems, so you can actually get people to the homes all across the world. Like once they enter the country, you know exactly where you need to send this person for them to have a warm bed and like a warm meal. That would be like a big lesson that I've taken away. But I think for the national government, they've mostly been engaged in foreign policy when it comes to aid, negotiating on behalf of Ukraine, like, hey, they need more stuff. Let's sanction Russia. Let's send these heavy weapons. It's crazy how hundreds of our tanks are just disappearing. That's crazy.
Oh, right,
man,
exactly.
I don't know how that happened.
You know, very funny.
The old disappear. You know that guy, that really popular magician that used to be on like TV all the time? He wore a mask and he would pull off these wacky like magician tricks. I feel like this is their disappearing statue of disappearing of the Statue of Liberty. Maybe I think this is their version. You know, it just happened. You can't question how. It
is incredibly funny, and I'm glad, even if it's being done kind of through back end informal channels. I am glad that support is there. You know, I imagine that whatever history there might be between the two countries, Ukrainians are quite happy to be sharing a border with Poland right now.
Oh yeah, the biggest failing in my opinion of the Polish national government, outside of the lack of a centralized response to the refugee crisis, well, I guess there's two here. One would be, and this is a little bit of a side tangent before I get to my main point, but I spoke to really high-level officials of Homofaber, which is a Polish NGO organization that deals with human rights of like refugee groups, stuff like that. And I remember talking to them, and they said, well, this isn't the first refugee crisis Poland has faced. Not too long ago, there was a lot of Kurds, Afghans, and people on the border between us and Belarus who did not get the same amount of attention. And I remember saying, why do you think that is? And I didn't even get to finish the question. And she said, they're racist. They're all racist. The Polish government's racist. And I'm like, would you like to expand on? They're racist.
What more do you need, Dylan?
Racist.
What more do you need? That's the argument right there. Do you have a counter?
I did not have a counter, and I was a little taken aback by the bluntness because up until that point, I had been dealing with like mid-level bureaucrats and like people in governmental positions where they were very restricted in the exact opinions they could give. And so having that level of bluntness was kind of like it's like somebody took some cold water and poured it over my head. I was jolted. She shook me. She messed up my interview game.
No, that's well, it's good, and I think that I'm sure once you get past the bureaucrats, Central and Eastern Europeans, I think have a penchant for being a bit more direct. I think it's like sort of ubiquitous in their culture as well. I wish that the average person here in America had the same passion for political opposition that people in Poland and Ukraine have right now for their invaders, Um, but tragically, that level of based engagement, it seems, is limited to what we're seeing over there. Um, did you see
Mm-hmm.
anything while you were over there that Oh wait, no, actually, you did, because I remember this is an anecdote that I got from somebody in chat. It was too specific for me to feel like it was a lie. You were having a conversation with one of your interviewees, and
Mm-hmm.
something they said made you reconsider the whole live streaming thing. What happened exactly?
I could talk about this for a little bit, and I think this is probably an important thing to talk about. Anyway, one second. Let me actually pull up their. I never know how to say their name correctly. Secretary of State. So basically, this person is the former Undersecretary of State of Poland, right? I'll send you his Wikipedia, right?
Okay.
And this guy is a very extremely serious official, right? So being Undersecretary of State is an extremely important position in a nation's foreign policy, especially Poland, right? And so this is a very serious official. This is somebody that during the Soviet Union, he was arrested during Polish martial law because he, spoke out against the Soviet Union and the Polish communist government. This is somebody who was the Undersecretary of Education. This is somebody who's been involved in a lot of local organizing in Lublin. This is a career and veteran political official, right?
Hmm.
And so this is my most important interview in Poland, right? Because this is my one chance I'm going to get to engage with the historical Polish foreign policy establishment.
It looks
And
like
I'm sitting
Vosh.
down to interview. Yeah, exactly. Like I told you, 40% of the country. And so I sit down and I'm getting ready to talk to him. And this is an interview tactic I have, and I'm fine disclosing it. I will ask people in advance, is there anything you don't want me to touch for this interview? And usually people will say no. This is number one, to kind of be like, hey, look, I have a decorum. I want to be respectful of you. And two, if I approach a question, it'll be more difficult for them to avoid it then because I've already asked beforehand, right? And so they're going to feel more social pressure to answer the question,
Mhm.
right? So it's kind of like it's got two sides to it. And he responds to me, I've already looked into you. I know the type of questions you're going to ask me. And I'm sitting there as I'm getting mic'd up and I'm just thinking, what the hell does that mean? What he looked into me and he knows what does he know about me that shows that he knows what type of questions I'm going to ask. And then I'm sitting there thinking, did he watch CTV versus Destiny? Did he sit down and watch you go back and forth with Lecture Fan? Did he watch me cover the non-compete Luna Oi Vosh drama when he hit most popular videos and that was like, I don't know, the 17th down? Did he watch me review a movie with YMS on by Tariq Nasheed on how the gays are all enslaving black people or something like that? Is this what he watched? And I'm starting to realize that certain type of content I engage with online can have an impact on how people perceive me and whether or not they're going to take me seriously. And I also think that there's certain type of content that I engage with that I don't necessarily need to and can negatively affect the image of the space and can affect political Twitch's growth because of how people view the space. After the 7th or 8th N-word debate or incest debate or stealthing debate, it might make this, make the space look unappealing to the random Twitch gaming viewer who wanted to come in and just, enjoy the hippy dippy championship.
Yeah, it's I completely get that. Obviously, in this respect, I am absolutely and completely fucked. But you can imagine like 5 years from now, you're interviewing some political candidate, and you're like, yeah, okay, so are you right? Are there anything questions you want to avoid? And they're like, no, no, no. I've seen all 18 of your whether or not incest is morally justified. Panel debates. I'm ready for anything you have to. I know the types of questions you ask. Um,
Yeah.
and just fully prepared. Honest to God, I
He,
get.
he looks at me, he's like, trust me, buddy, I have all the neo pronouns on lock. I'm like, okay,
I know
here we
all
go.
70 of them. Yeah, I totally get the concern. Though with more time, I feel like stuff like this is going to be more accepted. I feel like Madison Cawthorn is really leading the vanguard right now because soon we're all going to have our femboy pics leaked. When we're running for office or whatever. Like in 50 years, which politician isn't going to have old Twitter posts of them like saying the N-word,
Yeah, but I feel like there might be a different standard for right wing versus left wing politicians, and that's the big fear I have. That I think Madison Cawthorn making a haha funny joke is going to be taken differently than me making a haha funny joke.
You could
I'm
always
not
go to the
scared
right.
that there's going to be footage. That is true. I could always go to the right, And hey, I'm already in Poland. It's the perfect place to do it.
That's true. I think
I'm
they'll
gonna tell you
take
something
anyone
about
they
this
can get.
interview, though.
Oh yeah.
So there's a few things about this interview that I found very interesting. He gave me a lot of in-depth answers about Polish history and how he thinks the same authoritarianism that arrested him during Polish martial law is currently invading Ukraine, and that shared history in Poland of Russian domination over Poland historically and during the Soviet Union was the same thing that dominated Ukraine. And they're seeing that same force attacking Ukraine now. And one of my biggest criticisms of Polish foreign policy has been the relationship with Viktor Orban. And I know that this is a sensitive issue, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I know that, hell, this is the one shot I'm going to get to. I'm never going to be able to ask about Viktor Orban to anybody else, and it's going to be of any importance. So I ask him, do you think Poland holds any responsibility for shielding Viktor Orban from the European Union and other European allies, who is now basically acting as Putin's lapdog? And he answered every single question I asked, and I could and he speaks very fluent, good English, and he looks at me and he says, I have no data to answer that question.
Yeah, okay. Mouth sealed on that one then.
And that's the thing. That's the taboo I found, that Poland and Hungary see themselves as kind of like brother countries in a way. And I feel that many of them are waking up to the realization that their brother country is led by a maniac, a far right authoritarian maniac who is now basically ignoring Ukrainian pleas for help and continuing to assist the Russians. And this is something that I don't even think the Polish government fully has processed and adjusted their foreign policy for. So I don't even know how they would answer questions like that. So I'm not super surprised by the answer, but I didn't expect it to be so blunt on the I have no data for that. It's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, the problem is it seems like you have these reckoning moments, especially in foreign policy, where you really have to reconcile like the allies that you have. Poland with Hungary's like increasing slip into fascism, Poland can play buddy buddy with it, or at the very least, like not, impugn it for a while. But then you have something like this, yeah, but Poland hates Russia more than they like Hungary, at least. That's a higher order of priority when you're dealing with a Russian invasion of your neighbor. So now all of a sudden, this is thrown into contrast. But I feel like that's a kind of a sort of cognitive dissonance or a geopolitical dissonance that they deliberately want to stay quiet about until after the invasion, because if they address it, they have to resolve it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel that it's more of a, you just kind of cover your eyes and get through it, and you kind of hope that the problem will solve itself, because many of the issues that Hungary had with the European Union that they were kind of fighting against the EU against were many of the same issues Poland had. And so they were kind of like, they didn't want to be isolated, because if it's just one of them, then it's going to be difficult for you to fight back against all of European Union. But if Hungary can be a brother there, then wonderful. But the problem is when you deal with these types of authoritarians, is that they tend to, lie in bed with other authoritarians. This was the danger of Marie Le Pen winning election in France, was that her record on Vladimir Putin is quite obvious. I think Macron was quite correct when he talked about Le Pen having a banker of some sorts. I won't say who that banker was. I'm just saying, like, she had a banker of some sorts.
Oh, undeniably. It's, pretty much every far right political party and candidate in Europe has some kind of tie to Putin, you know? And the big dissonance, I think, has been this attempt to reconcile, you have all these nationalists who claim to they want to support their country's interests first, and they're like principally isolationist. Isolationism is like the coward's refuge in nationalism. And then
Mm-hmm.
and then you have, the Russian invasion, and then all of a sudden, they're either quiet about it or openly supporting Putin, which would feel like a contradiction in their principles. But no, they were really only isolationist because it gave a kind of political cover for not doing anything favorable with other liberal democracies. As soon as it's a country like Russia, then, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, hopefully this really throws Orban and other countries and leaders that have supported Putin into disfavorability more so than before. But I don't know. It's possible it just gets sort of thrown under the rug.
I'm hoping that to be the case. I mean, I think it's very clear that if you're somebody who stands with the Russian invasion, it seems to be, and this seems to be a dead ringer almost every time, that if you stand with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, you're an authoritarian. I mean, it's almost true every single time. You're either an authoritarian or you're just an extreme contrarian, right? You can be an authoritarian at different levels. You could be a theocrat of some sort, and you like the fact that the Russian state is so tied to the Russian Orthodox Church and their views of homosexuality and other things. By the way, if you think Russia is the trad-based country, I would like to ask you, where did crocodile originate? What is the percentage of drug addicts in the Russian Federation? How is the Russian Federation all-out war approach, which is even more severe than our all-out war approach on the war on drugs, how has that worked? How did these trad-based values come into effect when Russians are dropping dead in the street from drug abuse? Very trad, very conservative, very successful. But I think a part of it is authoritarianism. I think a part of it, and that allegiance to that. I think some people, it's contrarianism. They just see everybody with the Ukraine flag in their bio, and so then they assume, well, that's the position everyone takes, so that must be the wrong position, right? And it gets you attention, like that crypto bro. You've seen the crypto bro, right? Who originally was like, I support the Russian invasion.
Yes.
Ukraine's just I forget. You probably know exactly who I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, I
He's made the
saw it.
full
He got
cycle.
lambasted by his community. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think there's a few like opportunists and contrarians like that. Um, I think, I think there's also like, I would say that's the majority of them really. So I think a lot of the people who tried to paint themselves as lovers of peace and prosperity, and that's why they were in opposition to the Iraq War, like both of us, I assume, were as well. Why we both support lifting the blockade on Yemen, but then when it comes to this, all of a sudden, burn baby burn, drop those bombs, drop those bombs. It's almost like there wasn't a consistency in this kind of pacifistic viewpoint, really. It was more just America did it bad, right? They don't know how to move their foreign policy like any more flexibly than that. They've concentrated in the last 20, 30 years for fighting against America invading other countries, because for the last 30 years we have been the geopolitical superpower to end all others, and they don't know how to adjust to the fact that another country is invading another country. That's
Yeah,
why they failed in 2000. Mm-hmm.
the term
Yeah.
that I've seen for it's the opposite of American exceptionalism. It's American diabolism, where instead of your worldview being completely broken by the assumption that the world revolves around America's supremacy, it's the opposite. The world in your mind revolves around, the evil of America. Chomsky's been doing this lately as well, to the extent that it's really cheapened my respect for him. Some really ridiculous comments on the invasion. I think just yesterday, he said something like America's invasion of Iraq wasn't justified. True. Russia's invasion of Ukraine was less true.
I
Um,
haven't heard that. If he said that, that's absolutely ridiculous.
I think,
I'd
or it
have
was
to hear the
something
full
like
comments.
had a justification. Oh no, it wasn't. It wasn't justified. Provoked. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, thank you. It was provoked. Our invasion of Iraq wasn't provoked. Russia's of Ukraine was provoked. Which, in terms of obviously provoked and justified, don't mean exactly the same things. But in terms of this situation, I think they functionally play cover for the other. Um, it's really disappointing stuff there, but this has grown quite common, especially in the
Did you
left.
see the skirt Ukraine was wearing?
Yeah, no, right. Well, provoked, right? And the issue here is that it doesn't exactly take a genius mind to see that what's happening right now in Ukraine, what Russia is doing, it's a byproduct of an extension of the most pernicious elements of American foreign policy that leftists have been criticizing for ages. When you look at Russia and you see what they're doing, it is possible to condemn them on exactly the same grounds that you've been condemning the US for their behavior. But for some reason, they can't do it because their issue isn't with the underlying principles, the logic of anti imperialism. Their issue is with American imperialism, which is why you get, so many dog shit takes about how this is some kind of proxy fight between Russia and America, like as though Ukraine is just some passing consideration.
I think a lot of people, for example, hear something else the other time, like, oh, all these NPCs are angry now that Russia invaded Ukraine. Where was all that anger during the invasion of Iraq or the invasion of Afghanistan? Number one, a lot of the people, like me, were not even that old at the time, okay? I was 3. I'm sorry I didn't lead the anti-Iraq invasion protests at the time, okay?
What
I
is
was too
wrong with
busy
you?
learning to be a CIA agent, okay? But when I hear this also makes me feel like people don't understand basic Russian history after the collapse of the Soviet Union. There, you see the butchering of Grozny and the butchering of Chechnya. You see the invasion of Georgia and what happened with South Ossetia. You see the invasion of Crimea and the annexation of that territory against international laws. You see the backing of rebels in the Donbass and was essentially another invasion of Ukraine through the Donbass. Russian soldiers were operating in the Donbass. And you saw the butchering of Syria the vast majority of civilian casualties in Syria were caused by the Syrian government of Bashar al-Assad and the Russian government. This is something that people don't want to acknowledge. The Russian government used missiles to strike a hospital which killed civilians. Later, they posted footage of them bombing that hospital online to brag about the effectiveness of their missiles to the Armenian government, who is questioning how effective their missiles were. It was completely flagrant. And now we see the expansion of the invasion into Ukraine in 2022. And then I hear everybody like, oh, well, Russia doesn't, this is just, well, where were you, where America was all these other times? Where were you when it came to Grozny? Where were you when it came to Chechnya? Where were you when it came to South Ossetia and Georgia? Where were you in 2013, 2014 when it came to Crimea and the Donbass? Where were you when it came to Syria? I know where you were. You were denying Bashar al-Assad's chemical weapons attacks. That's the problem I have right now, is it seems to be right down the line in the middle of, oh, this is the geopolitical struggle of the United States. Terrible, awful, god awful. Russia's doing it. I don't even know that happened. It's not what what are you even talking about, man?
Well, frankly,
Multipolar world. Do you know what I'm saying?
I've said this before, and I've always said the left needs to divorce itself from this archaic obsession with post-Soviet aestheticism. The Soviet Union wasn't good in its heyday. It doesn't exist anymore, and what remnants of it remain are more far right than America is. There's no attaching ourselves to it, especially during an active conflict they started, makes us look like psychopaths. It's ridiculous. It's poor optics in the most meaningful way politically. It makes our entire movement. When you have people like Chomsky, an anarchist, playing defense for Russia, it's unsurprising that we have no political pull in the West. Why would we, if this is what our representation is leading to, if this is what we're getting from it? It's embarrassing.
The American left, I would even say American liberals, have not been able to propose in a major way, I would say, a foreign policy proposal for the future. Exactly, where do we go from here, right? how do we deal with these complex foreign policy issues? The main goal of the left, and in many cases, I would say just average run-of-the-mill Democrats, has been basically America wants to get involved in a foreign policy conflict. That is bad. Do not support it. Right? That hasn't always been the case. It depends on the issue, right? It depends on how much screen time an atrocity gets, but that has been the position. It hasn't been, let's build these complex economic systems for the future. How do we strengthen international law so it isn't just, oh, a war crime was committed, guess it is what it is? How do we repeal the Hague Invasion Act? How can we make it so the United Nations has teeth? How do we deal with the United Nations Security Council going into the 21st century? These aren't questions being asked by, I would even say, the left-wing foreign policy establishment, like the liberal types or the left on the ground socialist types. The main goal of them has been to restrict America and like foreign policy when it comes to invasions, which I don't think isn't a noble goal when it comes to things like Yemen, when it comes to things like the invasion of Iraq in 2003. I don't think that's a bad thing, but that should not be the primary goal, because we should also be looking, I mean, not the only goal, because we should also be looking how to build a foreign policy for the future. And that is where the left has miserably failed, because it feels like a lot of them are holdovers from the Cold War who don't know how to deal with the fact that that isn't the world we face anymore. And it has been the neoconservatives, the right, and certain sectors of some liberals who have taken the reins for that reason.
I think, in a funny way, I think there's actually a kind of political analogism here to TERFs, where, a lot of TERFs, to whatever extent, you feel they're being honest, they regurgitate and reappropriate second wave feminist logic. And there were second wave feminists who did feel as though women needed to be protected from the inherent biological violence that men, or AMAB people to them, whatever, they felt were capable of inflicting. And that logic works until it doesn't, right? I mean, once trans issues become a thing, it's not like they're going to suddenly drop the biological essentialism. But the logic was never good to begin with, Like, back in the 1960s, there were plenty of feminists who were saying, like, no, this is a social thing. This doesn't have to do with biology. But it wasn't as much of a critical juncture there because, well, in a world largely absent in recognition of trans people, a social and a biological explanation for an almost omnipresent phenomenon isn't that great of a distinction in a practical sense. Now, obviously, it is, because we do socially recognize trans people far more, and the problems with the pre-existing logic are unveiled. Clearly, now we know that was a terrible way for dealing with gender-related issues. And here we are. America bad will get you a pretty long way in a lot of geopolitical discussions, and you will be right often if America bad is the logic you're using. But that doesn't make it good logic. That just makes it reliably consistent bad logic. It's still wrong when it's wrong.
I think a lot of people need to ask themselves the question that if you were to this is the current foreign policy reality we live in, and then I'd like to get back to a little bit about the documentary.
Yes,
this is the current foreign policy reality we live in. Does anybody honestly think that if Russia had the same political dominance that the United States has, the geopolitical dominance the United States has 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or now in 2000 leading into the 21st century, that they would not have engaged on foreign policy endeavors like the United States? If not
I have
more
asked that.
and more severe?
I have asked that, and I legitimately think a lot of these leftists believe that if Russia had the influence America did, if the positions were reversed, Russia would be some kind of benevolent champion of proletarian states and would be leading the world in humanitarian development for all the countries that have been left to the side by America. I actually think they think that, because I've gotten that answer a few times. It's insane. It's completely ahistorical. It's absolutely insane. There's no reason to believe that, but they do,
Yeah. So that's I think like the big issue that I always want to tackle, where I don't like the current state of the world. I don't think most people do. Even though it's one of the most peaceful in human history, according to some historians, I still think it has much to be improved upon. And so for me, that improvement is not America gets less powerful, Russia gets more powerful, therefore we have more conflict, Cold War 2.0 baby. Or same thing with China. My improvement isn't the replacement of one geopolitical superpower with three who will now combat amongst multiple lines. It is, I think, the building of an international order based in some international law. I know how to make that order? No way whatsoever. But I think it's something else has to be created outside of this idea of either a hegemonic superpower like the United States dominating everything, which will act within its own self-interests, and replacing that with Russia or China. Or this idea that we have three superpowers, multipolar superpowers, that are going to be fighting amongst themselves for power and influence forever, which will just cause proxy conflict after proxy conflict, right? I think something else has to be proposed if we're going to be moving forward. But this feels like it's a little wider than the aspect than what the documentary is going into.
Of course, we're talking on the subject quite broadly. Tell us more about the documentary.
I'll talk a little bit more about some interviews that I did. So another interview that I did is I went to a local Ukrainian, local Polish preschool. And I went in there and I interviewed the headmaster of the preschool. And they gave me a lovely tour around the preschool where I got to see the kids. They even served me some borscht, and it was very nice. I really liked the borscht. And then I sat down for the interview and I started asking a lot of questions. And one thing that I had to reiterate was that earlier, and I wanted them to say it on camera because they said this off camera, was earlier while on the playground watching the children play, she told me that there are times when planes will come overhead over the playground and you can tell apart the Ukrainian and the Polish children, the Ukrainian children that are being hosted there, by which children will duck and get on the ground and start shaking. The Russian army has taught these kids through violence to be scared of the sky, to be scared of the sounds of planes, to be scared of jets, to be scared of basically whatever is above them. And that type of trauma placed in childhood can stay with people forever. And then we had a very lengthy conversation about the psychological resources that are being provided to these children. Many of these children don't even know what's happening, right? They're too young. They're too young to really know that Russia has decided to invade because of, et cetera, Azov Battalion, et cetera, whatever. They don't really care. All they know is that metal bird killed my uncle. That metal bird blew up dropped something that blew up next to me a few weeks ago. I'm scared. I see a metal bird again and they drop down. They know they're away from Ukraine, but they have no clue just exactly how safe Poland is. And then I remember I interviewed somebody else at the local cultural center, and the same thing was told to me, that they were hosting a cultural event for Ukrainians near Easter, and a plane flew overhead. And once again, it was like the whole event stopped, even for the adults too. This is something that isn't just drilled into children when it comes to the psychological damage that is done by the war, but this can also obviously have an effect on adults as well. And so on two occasions, I had two separate people tell me back just simple things like that away from the front, how it can have devastating psychological impacts on young people who have no idea even what's going on with the war.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. I don't know if it was from a Vice documentary. I don't remember the context in which it was said, but it reminds me of that. Was it an Afghan child? God, I forgot so many of the details. But saying that they prefer cloudy skies to clear weather because drones can't fly.
Yep.
In cloudy skies, or at least they can't do their strikes. Yeah, it reminds me of that. Yeah, it's the consequences of stuff like this. The war. This is going to be unique because the war in Ukraine will eventually end. I don't think it's going to draw out that long. Historically, wars in the modern world have gone on for 5, 10, 20 years. I don't think it's going to last that long in terms of direct engagements, but the antagonism born of this conflict will persist for literal centuries, as all of the people who had to flee Ukraine tell their children and their grandchildren about it. I mean, that's going to last a long time. And normally when this happens, we get to ignore it, because normally the people who suffer these long-standing traumas from invasion are in countries that we don't care about. How much do Americans pay attention to the experiences of Vietnamese people after we left, or or what happens in Afghanistan or whatever? It just kind of gets relegated to the wayside. Here, it'll be much harder too, with how much has been invested in Ukraine, both monetarily and in terms of attention. So we're going to have this will have a long-standing impact on global political culture for a very, very long time.
It absolutely will. Um, Man, I have so many stories I could tell. There's another instance, and I think Putin has killed any goodwill that could have been placed from Ukrainians onto the idea of like Russia is the brother state. The idea that, oh, there's this historical tie between Russia and Ukraine, and hey, I'm a Russian-speaking Ukrainian in Kharkiv, and I have some sympathies for the government, and da da da. All of that is dead. I remember people telling me, Dylan, interview Eastern Ukrainians, you Western dog. They will give you the real conflict.
Of course.
All of the refugees I have interviewed up to this point have been from the East, and every single one of them want Putin dead on a stick, right? Every single one of them have zero sympathy for Vladimir Putin. I remember talking to this one Ukrainian mother named Roxanne, whose husband is on the front fighting currently, who said that she wants to go back to Ukraine to be with her husband to fight, but can't because somebody has to stay with the daughter. And she basically wished nothing but death and destruction upon Putin, and was saying everything against like Zelensky Zelensky should not concede to the Russian invasion. And I interviewed and asked her, and I asked another Ukrainian woman refugee, these two women, about this is an ever-present issue, definitely as we're getting more and more reports coming out about.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, it's really, really difficult. It's very frustrating, especially in conflicts like this. The knowledge that you don't actually know what a given group of people, especially people living under conflict, actually think about something like this. Like the people who have defended Russia. Dylan's audio cut out? Hello, Dylan? I assume Dylan just stopped sort of abruptly, which is why I was caught off guard there. It seems Dylan's disconnected a little bit. They got him. They got him. At least he was able to get the word out beforehand. I don't know how reliable internet is in the setup that he has. It's possible this is just some rolling instability. Pretty brilliant what he's doing, huh, guys? He's so young. And, not just as a person, but also in the content creation space. And he's doing all this cool stuff. It's really awesome. He's been having issues with connection. Okay. If he doesn't return soon, we can end here. Though, to be fair, we did get to talk about quite a lot. So it's not like we're cutting out 3 minutes into the convo. I'd always prefer to have a proper, a proper goodbye. But I guess we'll give it a hot minute. Will you go to Ukraine again? Go back to Kharkiv? Yeah. I do think it would be interesting to go to Ukraine sometime after the war is over. I've spent so much time talking about it, more so than, to my knowledge, any other country outside of America. And I feel like there would be something kind of I don't know, like perspective adjusting about going to Kiev in person after seeing those video feeds of it the night of the invasion. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. All right. Well, Dylan isn't here, and I need to use the restroom. I'm going to stay in the Discord call So if he jumps back in and starts asking where I am, he gets no answer from me, but you get to hear him flail. You know what I mean? Like he's like, hello, hello, but you'll get to hear it. Okay. Ugh. Da-da. Dude, these shorts ride up like crazy. Oh my god. Woo! Ah, no, Dylan. Shame. Um, Chat, important question. Why are toilets porcelain? I understand that for toilets they need to use a material which is sanitary, non-porous, easy to clean, like everything you'd need in a toilet. Why not sheet metal? Is there something, is it like a temperature thing? Like if you sat down on like a metal corrosion? Oh yeah, it'd rust. Well, okay, well what about stainless steel? Or brass? You know? The only thing that I'm thinking, the only thing that I'm thinking is like if toilets were metal and they got like bumped, like you drop to the, like it's indestructible, or maybe you like dent it slightly, but with porcelain, like if you chip a bit off, it's kind of annoying. Like it's pretty tough to repair porcelain. It's not impossible. Oh, Dylan just messaged saying internet issues will be back. Oh, I believe he rejoined the call. Some public toilets are metal. Yeah, I've seen some public toilets that are metal, but not like home toilets. Here's the answer, by the way. Oh, ceramic or porcelain. That's right. Those are the two materials. Clean, non-porous.
Hello. Have I returned?
Hello.
The Russians got me.
Yes, but you escaped, it seems.
Yeah, I'm here to tell you that everything I said was wrong and a lie, and that Joe Biden personally paid me out of his son's laptop. And is that everything? Was that okay? Yeah, that's everything.
And glory to Putin.
And glory to Mother Russia.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow,
no.
so very sorry. Where was I?
I have no idea. We started talking about toilets. Kind of lost my train of thought. I'm also very sleep deprived.
I was going to talk about rape.
Oh, fun! What a wonderful transition. We're coming up near an hour's time, so as not to oversaturate the delicate minds of my incredibly dumb baby audience members. But yes, tell us about this wonderful closing subject you've chosen: rape.
I've chosen this because a lot of people have denied this, but I wanted to talk about how this is ever present in the minds of Ukrainian women. The two Ukrainian women that I've interviewed. Both of them, when asked about rape, talked about how it was a constant fear for them and other women they knew, and that the idea of being hurt in that way by a Russian soldier was probably one of the largest fears that they had. And as we get more and more reports, and we're having more people review the psychological damage and physical damage put upon Ukrainian women before many times being executed, it is clear that the Russian army is gang raping. And I want to be specific about the type of rape that is being used in the majority of these instances. Gang raping Ukrainian women, either as an tactic of intimidation or whatever. In many of these instances, the Russian soldiers seem to be drunk, and executing, as I would say, pure unit discipline. And in one instance, I was talking to a woman from Kharkiv who has told me that she's had multiple close encounters with death, with missiles landing close to her. And she's a school teacher, about 3 years older than me. She's like 25. And she's scared most of all for the safety of her students. She tells her students that their fathers and their families are heroes, but she has personally already accepted death at the age of around 25, 26, 27, right? Not much older than me. Possibly, I think, a little bit younger than you, Vosh.
Just
right?
a bit.
And just a little bit. And one thing she told me was that her family keeps Molotov cocktails from the start of the war at their door in case Russian soldiers ever tried to enter their home. So they could use said Molotov cocktails to, we would both assume, not much effect, but to some effect possibly, against Russian soldiers trying to break into their home, so that they would not meet the same fate as many other Ukrainian women had met. The Russian army, and when is an army of rapists, marauders, looters, and animals, who have treated the Ukrainian civilian population as target practice and meat in a butcher shop. And I don't want that to be underemphasized as we continue to have the full reports of the death toll come in, which we'll probably never know until much in the future exactly how many people have died. But with estimates around Mariupol just being 25,000 dead alone, who knows how many rapes and murders will be unreported forever, just due to the fact that the Russians have been able to cover up that rape or murder better than what they did in Bucha, for example. So I just wanted to say that I think that talking to these people are very important, because they're the ones who can give us a on the ground perspective of exactly what is being done to Ukraine right now.
With moving back a little bit to people's American diabolism, I think that there's a remarkable contrast that we can see here with the discipline and disposition of these of like respectively of our militaries. What was that, Abu Ghraib? What was that prison in Iraq? You got to help me here. I don't have the best memory. It's when those photos
I can't pronounce it either, but you're talking about the triangle photos, right?
Right.
It's like Abu Ghraib.
That
like
was
Abu
a
Ghraib.
huge scandal.
Tons of torture. Yeah.
When it got
scandal.
leaked. Okay, this is like a Wednesday for the Russian army. There's no part, and the funny, like, this isn't even
I think it's Abu Ghraib. I forget
Ghraib?
exactly how to say
Abu
it.
Ghraib.
Something like that.
Ghraib.
I can't pronounce anybody's name.
Ghraib. I think it's Ghraib. I could be totally wrong.
Ghraib.
But like this is like a Wednesday for the Russian military. Like, over the past 30 years, basically every area the Russian military has been through, there's just been a cavalcade of stories of like rape and civilian mass graves afterwards. It is the degree of difference is astonishing. And when this stuff gets revealed, they don't care. It's like they don't try their soldiers. I was talking with Horsme, a Ukrainian in my community who's been who's still alive, to my knowledge, and he, from what he's talked to, who he's talked to, what he's seen, he was talking about how like they basically, like, they kind of promote off of it. Because part of this is just the morale game, right? The rapiest Russian soldier is the guy out there on the front, the loudest guy. It's almost like a testament to their dedication to the war effort and to demoralize the opposition. The Russian military conducts itself in a manner which is unique, I think, in modern developed countries. It is incomparable. To I guess what we've seen in terms of like the expected discipline of our military forces. we're going to keep seeing stuff like this happening, and the longer this conflict draws on, I wouldn't be surprised if we started, like, at least after the war is over, we hear reports of mass murders and rapes in the Donbass region, in areas the separatists controlled, because the soldiers just raped people while they were there anyway, even though they weren't even technically in contested territory. The faster this gets brought to an end, the less of that we're going to have, which is another reason why we should be sending nukes over to Ukraine right now. Every nuke we have, actually. Just have them sort of lined up on which is a view that Dylan Burns endorses. Just every nuclear weapon. No.
I do not endorse this.
We should arm them, though, with non-nuclear weapons.
Yes.
Aircraft carriers
I say
aren't
we
nuclear.
give them. You know what? I think we should go further. Actually, we should give them nuclear armed Lena Dunham and allow them to deploy Lena Dunham against Russian troops.
Powerful. What? Okay, listen. What if we just took our closest? What is it? The MacDonald naval group, and we just ram the aircraft carrier through the Turkish port into the Azov Sea. Okay, and we just beach it right next to Mariupol. It's like the size of a city, and and we just leave it there. It's like what do you call it? Like a loot box for Ukraine, like in Fortnite, like when the box comes down, and you hear the noise. It'll be like that, and it'll just be like there'll be like 20 Ukrainian privates by the beach, and then just $80 billion of military equipment right there. Come on.
I think this is a smart strategy, and I will be sure to message it to the former Deputy Secretary of State of Poland, so we can go. We'll send it up the flagpole, so to speak, with the CIA. We have the same handler. We'll message them.
We don't need all the aircraft carriers we have. We don't need every one.
We need one of them, maybe two, maybe two max.
Also, I've never seen
the
a
Russians seem to be able to. The Russians seem to be able to spare a lot of ships recently. They're like, they're sending them down like free housing for the local fish.
Yeah. Look, we don't want to be shown up by them, huh? Russia's getting in on the avant-garde real estate at the bottom of the Black Sea, and we don't want to be caught,
hey, you need to plant your flag before it recognizes your territory. They're simply planting the Russian flag way at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, at the fucking splinter of the True Cross, apparently. Jesus, bringing Russia and Christ. Yeah, if that was real and not one of the fakes, because there's enough shards of the True Cross out there to make 3 True Crosses, I'm sure. But if that was one of the real ones, oh my God, that is so funny. Oh,
no, Jesus! At that point, like, God's gonna just like you've lost the word. God is gonna make sure you lose. Now it's impossible to win. You fumble that? Like, are you kidding me?
I really feel like more like religiously oriented militaries should hedge their bets on religious artifacts. Like they're just like they just need to start loading up like goods from the Vatican. Like religious artifacts onto our military equipment. It's like if God wants us to win this war, they will not let this M1 Abrams, which contains, like a piece of the Sistine Chapel, to fall. I think we need to be more confident.
And then when that gets destroyed, you just throw in the hat, like, okay, good game. Okay.
Yeah, right, fine, okay. We know how this one will turn out. Sorry, can you tell I was looking for levity after the Ukrainian women are terrified of being gang raped by soldiers bit,
Yes, I can give you one non-death story in Poland.
Oh, please do, and then we'll wrap up.
Awesome. So homophobia is a major issue in Poland, right? And so I was walking home from a restaurant with my editor Geek, and there were these people promoting this terrible strip club called Fascination in Lublin, right? I went and I looked at the reviews because I was curious. It seems to be absolutely god awful. And so I was walking by, and the first person comes up and they're like, beautiful girls, beautiful women. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm trying to push them off. But these people are consistent. They're persistent, man. They want to bring me into the strip club. And they won't. This woman who's like, I don't know, like 5'4", 5'5" Polish woman will not leave me alone. And so after like 30 seconds of her just hassling me, I just say the first thing that comes to my mind. And I turn to her and I just say, I'm gay. And she hits an invisible brick wall. It was as if somebody just smacked her across the face and dumped an ice bucket on her head, right? She was just bamboozled. She literally stopped in place as me and Geek kept moving forward. And I looked back. She was standing in that space for like a minute. She just didn't. It was like she was just sitting there processing what happened. And so then I keep walking. Then a second person walks up. And it's the same thing. Beautiful girls, beautiful women, strip club, pole dancing. And this time they're at it for 40 seconds. And I'm trying to do the same thing. Go away. And again, I turn to them. I'm just like, I'm gay. And my editor, Geek, he's with me. He's my cameraman. He's panicking because he knows like Poland's a homophobic country, and we're in Lublin. We're in an area of the country that's semi-conservative, and he's like, worried, like, Dylan, you're gonna get us fucking lynched. What are you doing? And I was, and again, hit an invisible wall. And after that point, I think I'm good. I think I'm safe. I think my sucking lips had pushed them away, out of my periphery forever. And little did I know that soon after that, a good 2 minutes later, a person walks up to me and he starts speaking Polish. And I'm like, Mówisz po angielsku, which is I'm butchering it, but do you speak English? And he's like, yes. Beautiful girls, strip club. And I turn to this guy and I say, I'm a fucking F slur. And I say it, I don't say I'm an F slur, but I say it. And I say this at the top of my lungs in the middle of a Polish city in Lublin. In the dead, it's like 1 a.m., right? If there was a hate crime time, I had decided to do it at the hate crime time of all of Europe, right? And Geek, he goes bug-eyed. This guy, it's kind of like I saw a little like almost steam coming off his head because he like malfunctioned, and he shakes his head like he needs to recalibrate. And he turns to me and he says, "Well, that's not a problem." And now I don't know what to fucking say because I don't know what this guy's about to offer me. Right?
It's been a gay bar the entire time. You've been bamboozled.
It's been a gay bar. I've been bamboozled, and at that point, I'm just like, no, and I practically run away with Geek. And I get away because I didn't want to have all my money go down the drain and possible gay sex work activities.
Yeah, they're persistent in those red light districts. You be careful out there, okay? Hate crimes are all fun and games until they actually happen, at which point they're less fun and less.
They're less fun until you realize the person calling you the F slur actually means it.
Yeah, exactly. I would die over there, because over here, especially in big cities, you can be having a conversation with a barista, casually, and you could be oh my god, I really like your ring, like, oh yeah, it's so faggy, I love it, like, just fucking, you can say whatever, everyone here is gay, purple hair and pronouns, blah de blah, over there. If you give a guy a once over and your gaze stops for more than 8 milliseconds at the crotch, they just shoot you. So it's difficult. It'd be a difficult transition.
It was most certainly that, but thankfully I survived and I'm still going. Anyway, I don't want to keep you any longer. For everybody here, my name is Dylan Burns. You can find me at Dylan Burns TV. That's DYLAN BURNS TV on YouTube. And that's where I'm going to push today. I also stream on Twitch every Friday from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to midnight. But I wanted to push my YouTube right now because that's where the documentary is going to go. And I'm funding the documentary completely out of pocket. It's a pretty expensive process. So I would appreciate if you guys, subscribed. Wait, and if you didn't like any of my other content, that's fine. If you just want to wait for my documentary and to watch it, I'd really appreciate it because I'm putting a lot of work into this. Again, that's DYLAN BURNS TV. Please go sub. Again, I would really hate for this to flop, okay, and get 10,000 views. I'd really want to make sure that all the people who have worked really hard on this project to see their work at least get some attention.
I look forward to leeching it 8 seconds after it releases, watching the entire thing on my channel. Yeah, the live watch party, You have to
I'm
better
gonna make sure
find
to
out.
include as much gore as possible to make sure I get all the Twitch streamers banned.
Hey, your YouTube, my YouTube. I don't stream on Twitch. You know,
Yeah.
you got to get it on that content ID drip. So
Okay.
my channel gets flagged when I watch it.
Maybe I'll just put ads for horse videos, so like in it, so you can like you'll get distracted. And,
Yeah,
like,
just
leave.
just triple the length of the documentary with fake sponsorships. You know, Raid Shadow Legends, that type of deal. Just make it an unwatchable experience for me.
Absolutely unwatchable. Not a single horse in the entire documentary.
Have a good one.
You have a good one too.
It's getting later for you, right? It's like 10, I think.
It is about to be midnight.
Gotcha. Have a good sleep when you get around to it.
Thank you. You have a good one. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was nice. Feel like we learned something today about friendship and how rape is bad. We have to finish watching that gun video. Then we're going to do the actual shit that's in the title. We're getting all of it done. Also, super unrelated Gamerino Cappuccino. Is this really Ronnie's design in Elden Ring without any clothing? Or is this just like a fan work? For those of you who don't care about Elden Ring, just turn your brain off for 30 seconds, okay? Is this the actual... It looks like it could be like the accurate... I think that's real. This is a really cool design. Where'd you get it from? I saw it being reposted, and it looks like the kind of thing that From Software would design. But I didn't know if it was a fan work. That is really, really cool. In Arendi, you see the extra hands? Well, you can always see 4 hands. Well, this is literally a ball jointed doll. Yeah. I really like her design. Did you complete her quest line? Yeah, I guess I might not have been looking that close. Okay, that's super cool. Nice. All right. Okay, let's finish this video. Let's learn why healthcare is too expensive, but we need super mega bullets that can kill from 8 billion miles. All right, I muted YouTube.
Firearms and ammunition. I believe there are 3 key technologies that have changed warfare drastically since the 1950s and are forcing this change to happen now. First, the rise of cheap scopes. Second, the creation of ballistic body armor. Third, new firearms and ammunition
You see it when you put the ring in her finger? I would fuck the dussy. The doll pussy. No. I know that she's a god possessing the body of the doll. You can literally see her spirit. Another design element that I like. I don't know if this is like intended. Like this is the intended interpretation of why she is what she is, you know? But I always got the impression the reason why you see her ghost to her side is because her spirit is too large for the body. Like she's a goddess, right? Like she was an Empyrean. But like she's possessed this little ball jointed doll. It just made me feel like the spirit is stronger than the host can be. So or that the vessel can be. So she just kind of mostly chills outside of it. Yeah, they share an eye, which is really cool. Okay, anyway.
Manufacturing techniques. These are the reasons why I think this concept is necessary today and would have been nearly impossible to pull off if we tried it even 10 years ago. Since the 1950s, there have been an explosion in firearm scope technology. It wasn't until very recently, in the past 10 years, that optic manufacturing had matured to a point where it finally was relatively cheap enough to mass produce large quantities of 8x magnified scopes for every single rifle. In addition,
for most rifles, aren't optics more expensive than the gun itself, right? Like a high quality 8x optic is more expensive than the rifle that it's on. Not anymore? Have they cheapened it enough? Okay, maybe the process has gotten better.
$2.7 billion will be spent over the next 10 years on the new computer-powered 1-to-8x XM150.
Computer-powered? Holy shit. Damn, just for the standard Rifle? Okay.
57 vortex fire control system. This allows for the creation of up to 250,000 of these optics, which would cover the entirety of all of the combat arms roles in the military.
The new caliber makes absolutely no sense without this scope. Here, picture it this way. If the US soldier were to run into a Russian with an AK-12 or a Chinese soldier with a QBZ-191, the new rifles that they just switched to this year, what would now happen is that the US soldier would have 300 extra meters of range on them.
We would nuke each other.
But doesn't it take an
Also, come on. Like the average infantryman is going to be taking like accurate shots at 800. Come on. Like, I know it can happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, but like outside of it, like a dedicated marksman role, you know? And dedicated marksmen tend to have different guns anyway. That's why the scope matters. Yeah, I understand that, but like, isn't it true that in modern, like, firearms exchanges, like 30,000 bullets are fired before any one person dies? Like, you'll have conflicts where it'll be like casualties 12, bullets expended 8 billion. You know what I mean? Some shit like that. And then, yeah, like, how many kills are done by soldier? I don't know. You still have to be a really good shot to make an 800-meter shot, even under non-combat conditions. Yeah, like, even if you have a really good scope, 800 meters means a very high degree of, like, stability and high-quality marksmanship there, you know? A scope isn't the same as auto-aim. It's, you know, you still have to keep your hands steady. Not to mention, you know, you're running around. It's not ideal conditions, because you're getting shot at, probably.
insane crack shot.
The scope automatically moves the red dot for environmental conditions? That's based. It's a smart optic. It's basically aim dot. No. You still have to hold the... No, don't. No, it's fine. Just don't worry. The computer-powered scope has auto-aim. Guys! The scope auto-adjusting the red dot is not the same as it holding the gun straight. 800 meters means that if you're off on your aim by like a fraction of a degree rotationally, the bullet goes wild by multiple feet. It's not... Just finish the video. Stop with the gun nerds. This isn't a gun nerd bit. This is how the flagrant waste of our taxpayer dollars on unnecessary military upgrades when we already have uncontested the world's strongest military, and any other military that would ever come even remotely close to us is it has nukes.
With thousands of hours of marksman training to hit targets that far, when the operator presses a button, it takes into account sensor data for laser rangefinder, humidity, temperature, elevation. It all gets fed into a ballistic computer chip, and it adjusts the red dot automatically. This doesn't come without a trade-off, though. I handled a similar prototype from L3 Harris that weighed a whopping 2.5 pounds. This means the standard infantry rifle will likely weigh an extra 5 total pounds. But why does the Army need such powerful...
5 pounds? Every infantryman is going to be running around with an extra 5-pound dumbbell in their backpack so that in the off chance we get into a fucking hot war with China, we can shoot them from a few hundred extra meters? Okay. It's not that much. Okay, it's not that much. You tell an infantryman, dude, it's just 5 extra pounds for like 10 hours a day for your deployment. And you see how they like it, okay? I haven't served. I have vet family members, you know, whatever.
Ammo. Does it all come down to increasing range? The rise of another relatively new military invention since the 1950s.
Vosh, it's not that much. Vosh them out. You can really tell like who's never done anything in their life. They already carry over 150 pounds as regular kit. I don't think you understand. Okay, no. I'm not. Nope. Guys, they've spent so much time and effort shaving like a few ounces off of these firearms, and it's like 5. No, okay, no.
Is the mass production of ballistic body armor. They only appeared in large numbers in the US military in the early 2000s. China and Russia caught on to this and have now equipped their own soldiers with ballistic plates. Ballistic plates didn't even exist when the M4 was created. Even though I'm obviously biased towards the M5, I think it's great. Truth is, I know...
Also, yeah, 150 pounds is not like the standard kit for a soldier, I'm pretty sure. I've read 80? Sorry. Dude, 5 pounds isn't much. I can bench press 5 pounds. How hard can it be to carry it for my entire life? Average weight Soldier backpack, U.S. Army. Like, average march load was about 102 pounds. Consistent with other average weights for around 90 pounds when a rucksack is included. Average load of 97 to 135 pounds in combat. Yeah.
No, only time will tell how it's going to perform in combat. So I want to present.
The military is giving infantry exoskeletons. Stop! We don't need exoskeletons. And that person, I think, was joking. We need health care. But it's really cool. Yeah.
Some of these counter arguments, these counter reasons, so that you can make an informed decision. Some analysts believe this weapon is not well suited for dense jungles like in Vietnam or the street fighting of Iraq. The main thrust of the claim against the NGSW is that it's overkill, and the Army went from one end of the spectrum arming troops with this underpowered pea shooter M4, and they're now over-arming them with this overpowered XM5. The proposed alternative solution here would be to split the difference between the two rifles. Part of the reason why I don't think this weapon is as unreasonable as it appears is because of some of the advances in firearms and ammo manufacturing that have recently happened. So in the 1950s, the battle rifle had to be incredibly long. It was cumbersome with 20-inch long barrel in order for the bullets to have enough muzzle velocity to be accurate beyond 600 meters. This made the weapons unwieldy and poor for door-to-door combat. It's part of the reason why we switched away from them, right? So what has changed since then that has made the XM5 a practical weapon today? The battle rifle today can have a shorter barrel of 16 inches to 8 inches without having to sacrifice muzzle velocity or barrel life. A large part of the reason for this is the new high-pressured ammunition firing at around 80,000 psi. Now, detractors of the NGSW program will point out that an 80,000 psi has never been—
What is this dude's mustache? Are we being real right now?
Now, detractors of the NGSW program will point out that an 80,000 psi has never been done before in small arms, and that it potentially could be too high, causing too much recoil, and it could wear out the barrel quickly. The winner of the bid, a company named SIG, is based in New Hampshire. They went from a relatively unknown manufacturer that made weapons in West Germany starting in 1976 to today becoming the sole creators of all of the majority of the small arms in the regular infantry's inventory. The only weapon left—
Yeah, my favorite handgun by far is a Sig Sauer. What is it, the AUG RTX or something? It feels really good. It's a really, 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 really good handgun.
that hasn't been replaced yet is the M240, and a lot of people are probably wondering, what's going to happen to it now? Last month, in March 2020, we got a hint at the M240's—
Isn't it the 1911? I don't have a high-quality 1911, like a really top-end one. The Sig Sauer that I have is like it's a pretty good handgun, you know?
When the U.S. Army released their request looking for a 6.8mm conversion kit. The plan appears to be to convert all of the M240s into the new ammo type, since the only thing it will require really is a barrel change. This would make all of the weapons in the infantry use one common ammunition type, which we all know has been a dream for the Army since the 1950s.
The M249 saw is kind of a notoriously inaccurate weapon. I think it has a minute of angle of 12. If I'm not mistaken, the XM50 is more accurate with a minute of angle of around 8, I think. So the reason they're keeping the M240 is because it has—
You say this stuff will never be used, but what if we give this to countries like Ukraine? They don't need it either. Also, like, the weird thing is, like, the range of engagement here isn't consistent with the needs for urban combat, which I imagine is a lot of what's being done. Yeah, they're not getting that. They like, we'd have to give them, like, their own ammo type or whatever. Like, they need, yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just don't understand what conflicts we intend on fighting in the near future. Guys, we do not need our average soldiers. Okay, people can say, you're no military expert, they have experts on this. I don't care, I'm right, always, okay? We do not need to be spending money on developing new rifles and arming and new ammo types, and then arming our soldiers with them in the event that we go up against a country that has the resources to equip its average infantryman with body armor. Because if we do that, that country has nukes. We don't need that. No, we wouldn't. NATO and Russian troops have killed each other in Syria. Comrade Robin, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Dude, did you know that this one time? I don't care. I do not care. Dude, we got you. Listen, okay? The Pentagon needs its $2 trillion budget every 5 minutes. because back in 2016 there was a brief skirmish between NATO forces and Russia. I don't care. I don't care. We drone strike them. Find me infantry body armor that'll survive a drone strike, and I'll consider this, okay? Listen, we don't live in 40K, all right? You know, it's not like we're concerned about the enemy deploying fucking Space Marines and Terminator armor, and we're like, oh shit, dude, we literally can't kill them. Everyone dies to drone strikes. We don't need... Everyone dies to everything. Body armor doesn't save you the way people think that it does. The engagement he's talking about ended with Russians getting BTFO'd by the US Air Force. Base. Like, just so you guys know, the way body armor tends to work, okay? Body armor, like people treat, in video games, like body armor is like you're invulnerable where the body armor is. You know, what actually happens is that oftentimes, when you take a bullet to your body armor, you know, it will break ribs, and if it doesn't, either because you're lucky, low velocity bullet, or it's really good body armor, like really heavy ballistic shit, you know, it breaks the armor, you know? It's not like it's just a big steel, like, wall on your torso. Like, there's internal forces that the bullet dissipate through. It absorbs the force of the bullet, and that breaks the internal... Yeah. Armor's developing, Vosh. Civilian armor market brands are developing better stuff every day. We don't need the... Vosh, I don't see what's wrong with overpowered weapons, because this is how the military-industrial complex gets away with raising the Pentagon's budget. I'm being a bit simplistic here, but raising the Pentagon budget every single fucking year, because there's always another threat. No, there isn't. There is nothing, no conflict that America could get in today that it couldn't already win, that it would be able to win if only we had this next gizmo gadget. You know, they come up with these obsequious, out of nowhere ideas. Oh, what if we get in a war with China? The world will end if we get in a war with China, okay? If we get in a skirmish with China, I hope both sides have shitty guns so they don't kill each other, because the more people die in that conflict, the more likely the nukes are to fly. If there's ever a skirmish between Chinese and US forces, I want them both to be firing pea shooters at the ground, okay? I want bullet drop-off to be having these rounds hitting the dirt before they've even made it halfway to their target. You know, I don't want them killing each other. We don't need to do this. We don't need to enable these hypothetical scenarios, you know? It's not you know, we're not getting anything from this. It's a zero-sum game. We're literally talking about the congressional budget here, you know? There's only so much money that can be spent. And they give us this. And it's like, great, you know, is America any safer? I'm not against military research. Just to be clear to you guys, okay? Military research, I'm fine with that. If the Pentagon wants to spend $250 billion every single year making sure that we're always on top of our game in terms of what we can make, I'm okay with that. That seems like a reasonable use of the Pentagon. But in terms of deployment... I know you have to train soldiers in the weapons they're going to use. I just do not think this is necessary. What's the difference then? We have the research for it, cool, now we have to make it? Because that costs money. Wait, I'm a leftist. Are we really... Are we really, like, in dispute over this? We have the biggest military budget on Earth, larger than the next 10 countries combined. And there are people in chat being like, well, dude, what if we need those 300 extra meters of engagement in a conflict with Russia? I'm actually kind of befuddled right now. You're a leftist? Yeah. Oh. Apparently we've attracted libs lately. I don't know. Yeah, well. This is, guys, like... even if you're just a liberal, I'm just confused with what the difference is, I guess. Money. The difference is money. research is fine, but there's a difference between researching new military tech and letting the military-industrial complex convince you that it's totally necessary to spend a bunch of money on implementing these you know, designs on the off chance we get into a non-nuclear ground war with China. Like, okay, you know? They do this shit all the time. They do this with planes. Do you know how much money we've spent like on like you know, these rollouts, or like, do we need the number of naval carrier groups that we have? We don't need this shit. We could have half the tanks that we do, and it would not affect our ability to maintain our position as the world's #1 nuclear power. It wouldn't. It wouldn't. It's absolutely unnecessary, but it's cool as shit. Why not keep it to the design stage? No. Whatever. What's the point of researching new weapons if you're not going to... I'm going to kill myself. I can't... We don't need it. The U.S. military has actually asked for production of tanks to slow down, but politicians say no because their podunk backwater shithole is a factory town for tanks. Yeah, literally. The military has literally, like, asked Congress to stop, like, ordering more tanks. And Congress like, nope, you need this money for more tanks, you know? But, like, but we need that, apparently, you know? Like, that's highly necessary, according to the fucking brain lords in chat. What's the point? Dude, what's the point of researching something if you don't bankrupt the entire country, building and applying a ton of them just in case we happen to get in a ground war with China where we don't use nukes? We need to be well armed. You know, nukes will wipe out 98% of our military forces. The remaining 2% had better be strong and big, very big. I'm sorry. Okay, you all trigger the fuck out of me. Let's finish this video, get to the damn politics.
Much higher level of accuracy, and you don't want to just get rid of it.
The primary weapon of an infantryman has always been more than just a gun. It's an extension of yourself as a soldier and your capabilities. All of your confidence is placed in that rifle. Your rifle is unique to you because no one else has your exact marksman skills. Yet at the same time, it's uniform to everyone else in your unit.
Military history is littered with examples of infantry switching their primary weapon and then devastating the enemy with new tactics. Just look at the ancient Greeks with their sarissa spear.
Shut up. You know what you guys actually remind me of? You guys remind me of the people who soy-faced over that Russian test armor that's never going to happen. Russia's done this a couple of times. I think every military does this from time to time, where every once in a while they'll hire like a design guy to make some armor that looks futuristic, and they'll be like, this is the future of warfare. In 10 years, every one of our soldiers will look like this. And all the Reddit lords on the internet go, whoa! And then, like, it's completely fake and nothing happens. You know? Like, and then nothing happens at all. Because this is nothing. This is made up. This is, what are these little hexagonal, these little triangle pizza wedges just randomly hot glued on like regular army fatigues? Literally, look at this. Like, what is this supposed to be? Armor? It's like rubber. Like, they literally just glued it on here, and they're like, dude, this is the future of warfare. This is the future of fighty warfare, you know? Russia's already testing a mechanical exoskeleton for soldiers, which is supposedly designed to unleash accurate machine gun fire with one hand and add to its accurate machine gun fire with one hand. A machine, as in an LMG? Or do they mean rifle? And add to its wearer's physical strength, its developers have said. Guys, can you identify for me in this image where exactly the the hydraulic strength enhancing mechanisms are supposed to be, because this is literally just like cotton cloth with rubber glued onto it. Can somebody explain to me? It's in the asshole. God. Dude, look at how much the field of view is being restricted by this LARPy motorcycle helmet. Jesus Christ. You guys know that a motorcycle helmet has the has the field of view that it does because you have to be looking like in front of you and to your sides because that's what where the road is. But soldiers look at other things like up sometimes. What the fuck? One-handed machine gun fires so they can film their war crimes with the other hand. Yeah. Dude, look at this. What is this, like, carapace? It's the same hex squares. This is made of rubber. This is literally like a cosplay outfit. I hope you guys understand that. The Russian military tried to pass this off as, like, the first model of its brand new... like, ultra-futuristic... We have already held trials for the prototype of the active skeleton... Oh, wait, that's German there. Of the active skeleton. Oleg Festov, head designer of the life support system of the soldier combat outfit, told state news agency Itartas, "It really does enhance the physical capabilities of personnel. For example, the tester was able to fire a machine gun." Oh, apparently the guy himself said machine gun. With only one hand and it hits targets accurately. This guy's being paid money to just make shit up. Like, literally, like, just say whatever. Say that it's got, like, a Dune moisture suit. Say that it can fly. Whatever. Does it have a laser sword? Maybe. I don't know. Russia's third-generation Ratnik personnel armor, slated to be completed by 2025. Oh, we've only got 3 more years before the galactically, technologically advanced Russian military outpaces us eternally. The Ratnik is a futuristic update of soldier standard issue combat uniform that is wearable tech that will enhance performance. The exoskeleton became a talking point at Russia's annual Army 2018 Expo outside Moscow this month. Guys, this is literally just like part of the Kremlin PR department, by the way. Like, it's an Army Expo. Like, every country uses this for propaganda, but like with Russia, you know, like the... God. The kit will be made from carbon fiber. I can't believe this. I've never read this. Carbon fiber and powered by a motor. A motor. Tell me you rip start it like a lawnmower. A Not a battery, a motor. Yeah. It's got a key ignition on the back. I can't. Jesus. Yeah, Petrovsky, top me up, will you? And you're like unscrewing the diesel cap on this fat fucking 20-pound motor you have. I'm sorry. Dude, Russia is so fucking retarded. I can't fucking... I can't... It's just fine. I fucking love this country, dude. Holy shit. It's coal powered. You've got like a train boiler room on your back. You've got like a soldier chain shoveling coal into the guy in front. Nothing but the strongest Russian hamsters run on wheel, 10 per soldier. Speaking about the project, Samizarov, the design was complete in theory, but researchers were struggling to come up with a battery and motor combination that'd be able to. Have you tried motor plus coal? Diesel and ripcord hand crank action. you can walk, but you've got like a hand crank on your hip. You've got to, by the way, saying we almost have this futuristic power armor designed, we just haven't figured out how to power it, is basically like saying, we've almost got this beautiful brick building laid down. We just haven't like started with the bricks yet. Like, okay, wow, real. Oh, the power supply is the difficult part, dude. We've almost invented like faster than light travel. We just haven't found a way to get past the whole like infinite expenditure of energy necessary to approach the speed of light. But once we get past that, electric motors exist. I choose to believe that Russia hasn't invented electric motors yet. If they say motor, we're talking diesel and loud. I do not care. I can't. Fuck me. I'm gonna bring my cough back from God. Also, at this month's event, developers showcased the wearable technology the active exoskeleton will replace, which they call the passive exoskeleton. Unlike this kit, the passive exoskeleton does not have a motor, and only provides the wearer with physical support by virtue of shoring up their stance. This is possible. This is actually real. Weighing in at about 12 pounds, the passive exoskeleton supposedly helps reduce the weight carried by a soldier by about 110 pounds. I'd be surprised if they could get it down that light with this level of efficiency, but that's actually possible. We do have those, yeah. Hold on. It's a really, really nice day outside. So it's a frame for the backpack. Oh no, it's a real thing. I'm pretty sure the U.S. military has a working version of this. Military exoskeleton. Just the basic point of it is using kind of like a framework to redistribute the weight across. Here we go. It doesn't look the way you'd expect it to. See that? It looks kind of like fishnets that are tearing, revealing the bulging girth of your fat thighs. But let's see, Lockheed Martin's Onyx. What are the weight shows here? Way up to 140. Is there like an estimation for how much these would be able to carry? Wow. Okay, hold on. I feel like we're upscaling the design a little bit here. Let's we weren't even giving our soldiers body armor in Iraq. I don't think we're giving them this. Allow the user to lift masses at a ratio of 17:1. Holy shit, is this Keffels? Because you're going to be ratioing everything you pick up. Given the strength to punch through 3 inches of wood? Okay, this isn't an exoskeleton. This is a mech. Okay, no, hold on. We're really blurring the definition here, okay? When I think exoskeleton, like you can do this non... Like you can do this just mechanically without even like any like electronic parts. Yeah, this is power armor. This is a whole other field. It's not just Russia. Well, this isn't like a government like propaganda show. This is these are arms companies. Our good friends at Raytheon trying to design it. Well, I mean, look up the one from Ghana. Ghana exoskeleton. Oh my god, I saw this. This is the best shit I ever saw in my fucking life. Okay, so apparently Ghana pulled a Russia, and they were like, how do we make our military look more imposing? Give me some cardboard and spray paint. Look at the sheet metal on these outfits. Honestly, I'm being charitable calling it metal. This is probably not metal. Plastic might also be overly charitable. This could be foam board for all I know. Yeah, the PS1 platoon over here with their very low polygon count, looking mighty imposing with the cardboard shoulder pads. It literally looks like a Halloween costume. Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. The video that I'm getting to reveal this is from RT, of course. God. For some reason, a bunch of the photos of this have like placeholder text over to like keep people from using it or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, man. What are on those gauntlets? They're supposed to be missiles. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Ghana #1. Oh, that's nice. Look at their shoes. There's not even a front to the shoes. Like, it's literally just like, it's like sandals. Like open-toed, your open-toed power armor. Open-toed power armor, dude. That's where the bullets come out. Dude, can you imagine stubbing your toe in this? You'd die instantly. Holy shit. They're just scooping up sand with those? Oh my god, you're right. They're going to be carrying 5 pounds of sand in there. Whew! Alright. This tech car exists in backpacks? Look at this terrible... Wait, hold on. Was there any other really funny shit at the 2018 Expo? Russia parades hypersonic missiles, futuristic exoskeletons, new fighter jets, and tanks. Should never trust these bastards. Russia exoskeleton. Okay, we're like stunlock after stunlock after stunlock after stunlock after stunlock. We're like so far in. This is also from 2018. It's the same. It's not only is it the same suit, this is probably the same guy on the same day with the same photo shoot, where we can really appreciate these rubber triangles that were, again, arbitrarily glued to the regular ass sleeve of this uniform. Look at that. You're telling me this is you're telling me this is carbon fiber? Okay. They're missing a triangle? Yeah, why isn't there one right here? Is that, like, deliberate? Did it fall off? Did this one fall off? Oh my god, I think it fell off. There's one missing up here, too. I think they literally just fell off. Oh my god. Okay. Does the gun work, or is that a toy, too? It's a tactical air vent. Battery-powered Robocop suit. Oh, now it's battery-powered. Allows squaddies to fire machine guns one-handed with computer accuracy. Okay, this is the New York Post. Here's a proposal. Any journalist who just repeats like shit like this should be fired. I know the New York Post doesn't care, but like seriously. Oh yeah, dude. You'll totally be able to fire machine guns one-handed with computer accuracy. Do you have any idea how much US Army, no, Russian Army. Russian Army light machine gun. A machine gun, colloquially people say machine gun to refer to automatic weapons, but that's not accurate. Machine gun refers to it's a heavier infantry carried, usually like a light machine gun, LMG. Then you've got like the bigger machine guns, which they put on tanks and stuff. But you know, usually when people say machine gun, they mean LMG. The RPK-16. Let's punch in these stats, will we? Shall we? RPK-16. Well, this thing is old. Jesus. I mean, don't get me wrong, nice wood frame, but this is your... I can hear the squeaking on the hinge of this stand. But just by looking at it. Okay. Well, they have the AK LMG. Is this not the RPK-16? That's what I googled. It just says RPK. Oh, this isn't the RPK-16. Derivatives. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Why doesn't this have its own page? Here we go. There we go. Okay, okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, how much does this weigh? One-handed with computer accuracy. Let's see. Also, why a drum? Vasha zero gun knowledge. This is dumb. People in chat always say that, but they never say what I'm wrong about. They're so angry. Like, you're seething right now. Like, it's like you like talk the way people, like, when they don't know much about cars or whatever. It's a saw. It's supposed to have high accuracy. I've heard drum magazines have issues. You know, yeah, whatever. I thought drums were shit. Yeah, they look cool, which is a shame. Wait. Where's the weight? Give me the RPK-16. Mass? Yeah, but where is it? This is the RPK-74. It says 4 kilograms in the picture. I can't trust Russian. Give me some goddamn American. Okay, fine. 4.5 kilograms. 4.5 kilograms, that's what, yeah, 13 pounds or so. Computer precision, holding out an LMG with one hand. Impossible. Simply not possible. Absolutely not possible. Absolutely not. Cannot. Absolutely not. And firing. Yeah, you're firing this thing. You know, you're not just holding it up in one hand. You're firing it. No way. No way. Look at the up pounds per inch and recoil time fire rate. Well, this is for the RPK-74, not the 16. I want the stats for the 16. What does this say? Where does it say it here? It is, you're just a weak manlet? Oh, true. It doesn't say here. Cyclical rate, 7, accuracy range, 100, backwards compatible. Where's the short barrel? After receiving feedback on the performance of the weapon, the Kalashnikov concern has begun development on the RPL-20 belt-fed light machine gun. Oh! A belt... Huh? Oh, really? After receiving feedback on the performance, you wanted to switch to a belt-fed LMG, did you? Wow, well, congratulations on joining everyone in the 20th century. What? Jesus. Okay. I can't with these people. Drum to belt is a big upgrade? Yeah. They don't use those. They've been almost exclusively using the PKM. Well, maybe this is going to be like the next... Look, okay. This is what it takes to be able to one-hand a machine gun. What are you doing? What is this?
We have a Chinese...
Oh, shit. Oh, hey, speaking of auto-aim, oh my god.
Rolling?
Yeah.
It's not, we're not machine gunning.
Recoil, but I'm not surprised. There's no resistance here. It's all the resistance is in the up and down.
Oh, there we go. See, even, okay, look. When he's firing the belt fed, even here, he's using his other hand to support it. He's not firing it automatic, though. He's firing it semi-automatic. Or unless this has a ludicrously low fire rate. Oh, full auto. Fuck yeah.
You ready to rock? I forgot, it's open bolt.
Yeah, it's open bolt.
One hand. Ah, no, two hand. He's two-handed. Okay, look at that. Even with the goddamn monitor arm supporting it from the other side, there's ridiculous barrel drift whenever he's firing this thing. Look at that. Look at that. That's not going to be accurate past like 50 meters or something with that with that bullet drift. Yeah, and this is with a mechanical arm supporting it. Why do they need the other hand free? There are a bunch of considerations. As a general rule, you're not shooting well unless you're shooting with both hands. Just generally speaking, like people can get pretty good at firing pistols one-handed, but rifles, wasn't there a gun made in World War II, which was a rifle meant to be fired with one hand? World War II rifle one-handed. It was meant to be hip-fired or something like that. Does anyone know what I'm referring to? It's a really interesting... the Stern submachine gun, I think. Was that it? Stern submachine gun. No, is that not it? Here we go. Okay, it was like this. You can see from the design of the gun. There we go. You can see, this is like a video game render or whatever in Unreal, but like this is what it looked like. Basically, all this right here was the stock that you would press it up against like your armpit basically, and you would fire it from here. It's a submachine gun that you hip fire it basically. You're not meant to raise it up to your eyes. And the idea was that you would run while using this, and it was designed to maximize accuracy from a hip fire position. But you would be running while using it, because that's always been a drawback with most guns that you like a rifle that you aim with iron sights or whatever. It's that you can't really do it while running really fast, like you can't really sprint full speed that well while taking aim with an M1 Garand, in World War II. It just doesn't doesn't work that well. Yeah, this was an assault weapon. You run forward, just having a good time. Why would you run a machine gun? That sounds like a great way to hit nothing. Well, you lay down suppressive fire, I mean, it makes you intimidating. You scream a battle roar. I don't know, whatever. Okay. Are we done with this? Are we okay? This is not that I'm not having fun. Found a forgotten weapons vid on it. We're not done with this apparently. Okay, just a sec. We're only going to look for a second of it. Machine guns are for attacking vehicles at long range. I think they're for looking spooky.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on
There it is, the real thing.
I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today at the National Firearms Centre, part of the British Royal Armouries collection in Leeds, and we are taking a look at a Viper Mark I. This is a sort of a modification. It's a play on the Sten gun that was developed in the UK just after World War II. And this was actually developed for military policemen in post-war occupation Germany. And the idea was to give them a submachine gun that could be fired one-handed. Now, it's not entirely...
Why are they giving these to cops? Okay.
entirely clear what they were doing with the other hand at this time.
Yeah, I thought this was for like running at entrenched positions or making it to cover and laying down suppressive fire. So okay, apparently it's so cops can gun down like German dissidents or something.
Like, why does the gun have to be one-handed? But that was...
I know I know military police isn't cops, but occupation, yeah. So cops, like they're not shooting soldiers, they're shooting civilians.
That was very literally what the directive was. And
Riot
so they
shield,
went through a
maybe.
couple different versions of these. And
dude, if they gave SWAT teams these plus riot shields, that would be it. That would be that's like the most dystopian weapon combo right there. Holy fuck. They're completely they're completely protected by the riot shield, and then just right around the edge they're just firing a submachine gun. That's fucked. That would be fucked.
This is the Mark I. So it is basically a shoulder occupation West Germany.
See, just like
Let me show you this thing up close. That's the position where it's...
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Stop! 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 Stop. No more. Stop. Okay. We're going to wildly shift topics here. Something that I don't really do that much on this stream, you know, to my detriment, by the way. I don't talk about trans guys that much, not because I hate them. All men are kings. Oh my God, lamp moths with the $300. What the hell? I haven't even been progressive yet today. I haven't even earned my keep. Curious, do you have any? Oh, do you have any tips? I'll redo the thing. Hold on, I was just beginning. Curious, do you have any tips in dealing with situations that are overstimulating? My neurodivergent brain go burr. Much love and drink jug. I'm almost out of water, so I'm trying to pace myself. Overstimulating. Well, I hate crowds and loud noises. Usually I just leave. What do I do normally? I don't go out that much, so I'm trying to think. When I did go out more often, what did I do? That's true, Comrade Tyler. No, just leaving is a solution, you know. Having earplugs or music or whatever that you can you like go to the bathroom. Going to the bathroom is usually kind of like a recollect yourself moment, right? Whether you're in public or in private, you know. You go, you splash water in your face, you know, that can sort of center you, I think. Um I'm thinking like being in a concert or a party right now, but think of what to do with your hands, lol. Well, that doesn't do it for me. Because I always know what to do with my hands. I don't have your people's problems. Yeah, I feel like the solutions are generally pretty simple. I think the real key isn't what you do, it's how you decide to do it, you know? Because one of the problems that neurodivergent people will have is they'll feel uneasy, they'll feel uncomfortable, but they're not decisive enough to act on those feelings. So like 30 minutes after they've already been overstimulated, then they'll go like, okay, I have to go do something, I have to get out of here. But the reason why that level of panic rises is because they didn't take care of those feelings earlier. Does that make any sense? Like, it's about the conscientiousness, the ability to identify when you're beginning to feel that way, and then you can go like, oh, I am, and I can go do something about it. And if you respond immediately, I feel almost always you'll be fine, you know? The difficulty is when you let that discomfort build to the point where you have a panicked, you know, like I need to get out of here feeling. And at that point, maybe nothing you do will make you feel good. You know, it's just sort of like a placating thing. But you want to avoid that state, I think. So that's my advice. So I don't talk about trans men that much in this whole ongoing culture war battle, in large part, and this is to my detriment, you know, but it's in large part because so much of the discourse gets centered around trans women, and I think that's really unfair, you know. And if you go in trans spaces online, it's like all trans women. They're so annoying, you know. Women, am I right? Fellas, right? Hey, you know. No, but yeah, it's an underserved element of discourse. But so often when people fearmonger about trans people, they fearmonger about trans women for a couple of reasons. A transphobe, of course, views a person as their birth sex, right? You know, like a transphobe will say a trans woman's a man, blah, 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 right? So from the perspective of the transphobe, a trans woman is more morally aberrant than a trans man, because a trans woman is seen as appropriating and perverting the perceived inherent beauty of women, and a trans man is just kind of seen as like a butch woman, which, while not free from harassment, not even close, it definitely incurs not even a lesser degree of ire, but a different kind, you know? Now, we've talked about how TERFs feel about trans women a bunch on the stream, and I'm not going to reiterate today, but I haven't talked that much about how TERFs view trans men. Usually I summarize it the same way Natalie did in her video on it, by saying that they're, you know, lost sisters. And I do feel like that's a recurring theme. I saw this comic on Twitter just the other day. It was DM'd to me by an Oomphy. And it's an anti-trans male TERF comic, you know? And I wanted to go over it because, again, I don't engage with this much. I'm not going to stop saying Oomphy. I think it's very funny. I think it's a funny word, and I like using it. What does it mean? It's like one of my friends or followers or something. I don't know. It's oomphy. Just don't worry about it. Was it Jordan Peterson? Jordan Peterson and I are oomphies. Yeah, one of my followers, because we're mutuals. We follow each other. We're both each other's oomphies. And correct spelling is I-E, not Y. Anyway, you're not going to tell us that inclusive language during abortion discussions is bad optics, are you, peepo hands? No? Look, okay, look, even I say pregnant persons, okay? Look, if somebody says abortion is a woman's rights issue, it is. I don't think it's appropriate to respond to that by going like, well, what about trans men, like in an antagonistic way? Because you're really, at that point, you're not opposing exclusionary language. You're opposing non-holistically inclusionary language. Does that make any sense? There's nothing wrong at all with using inclusive language on the whole abortion pregnancy bit. I do, however, think when people say stuff like, you know, women should be deciding on abortion, you know, you can add to that with like, well, trans men exist or whatever. I think it's a dumb point because I think everyone has a right to discuss any moral issue regardless of their personal demographics. But I'm just saying, don't light any fires over it. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. It's, you know, just that's my opinion. Humbly. So anyway, here we have a comic. You can kind of get the theme right off the bat, huh? I don't talk that much about trans men because they don't get talked about that much. And a lot of my engagement with, you know, culture war talking points is responding to other people's bad positions. Why are so many girls deciding they'd rather be boys? What a pointed question. Now, I've already looked over the comic, by the way. If you're expecting anything like horrifically, egregiously stupid, you're going to be disappointed. It's kind of a safe retelling of TERF perspective on the issue. But you know, I think it's important to deal with these talking points even when they're being presented in their most optically sanitized form. Not that bad, Tempest. Does that make any sense, you guys? Like, in order to deal with these points, you have to deal with them when they're being presented in what they perceive to be the most charitable form. So let's move forward. Why are so many girls deciding red boys? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we'll find out. Could it be society's toxic expectation of women and girls? Cosmo, go on a diet, get this body, do whatever he wants in bed. Maybe then you'll be valued. So this is one of the ways that TERFs weaponize and misappropriate feminist critique in order to harm trans people. This is going to be a recurring theme for the entirety of this comic. The basic gist of it is, well, why do these trans men exist? It can't be because they're men, of course. They must be so fed up with sexism that they decided to be men. Which, a couple of pointers, just right off the bat, you know. First of all, the problem with this premise is that, much like many anti-trans arguments, it's unfalsifiable. If there are people saying they're trans, and you're like, well, the only reason you think you're trans is because of these omnipresent social forces, well, how do you argue against that? Can you prove that? No. But I can supply a good counter-argument. Sexism against women was worse 100 years ago than it is today. Yet there are far more trans men today than there were back then, at least perceptively. So it would seem like there's actually an inverse correlation between the oppression women experience and the prominence and existence of trans men. At the very least, you know, you would expect there to be some kind of flatlining correlation, something, but all available evidence points to the opposite of the implied problem in this comic. But let's continue. Maybe they internalize so many conflicting messages about how women are supposed to be that they'd rather opt out. Hate myself. I'm so ugly. I'd be better off as a man. Now, I'm going to be hundo with you guys, okay? I don't feel like it's normal to look at your body recognize that you're not in compliance with traditional beauty standards, and then think at length, I wish I was the other sex, you know? If we're talking about transitioning here in body appearances, I'll use, like sex rather than gender. But like, have you guys ever seen that like egg posting meme where people are like, on 4chan, it's a green text post, and they're like, I'm not trans or gay or whatever, but has anyone ever cried at night because, they've like realized how ugly they are and how much more beautiful they would be if they were a woman, and they wake up every morning and cry and want to kill themselves because they'll never have a woman's body? I'm cis, by the way. I'm not trans. Hasn't everyone done this? You all, you've all seen some variation of this post, right? You know what I'm talking about? Right? Yeah, the egg. Yeah, that's like half of 4chan right there. All I'm saying is, if a person's response to not adhering to traditional beauty standards is wanting to transition, I don't know. Data pending on that being a thing. Anyway, the self-abasement continues. Real women have curves. Why are you so skinny? Eat a cheeseburger. Ah, yes, the very real problem of women transitioning into men because they felt bad that they were skinny. Skinny women get so much hate in today's world. How could they not look in the mirror and think, yes, I will upend my entire life and transition? Many such cases. Not to say skinny women don't get shit, but again, like the idea that this translates into transitioning is just be hypersexual. Yes! Women are constantly being shamed for being chaste. That is completely true and not at all reflective of the biases of the people who made this comic. Not at all, because TERFs are utterly sexless. That is very true. Women are always thinking, God, I get so much shit for not being hypersexual. Don't get fat, be quiet, you should be more outgoing. You're so quiet, be pretty, be kind. Yeah, of course. Wait, hold on. Be kind. Wait, hold on. You should be kind. That's true. That part's fine. Anyway, here we go. I love this one. Could it be internalized homophobia? Get out of here, you ugly dyke. I'll kick your ass, you freak. Yes, again, a real thing that definitely happens. People who can't stand the social stigma of being homosexual, evidenced by wearing a hoodie and having shorter hair, but are willing to go through the stigma of transitioning. I got this from Deborah So as well. By the way, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Dr. Deborah So, who said to me that she had a study which indicated that there were lots of trans people who transitioned to avoid internalized homophobia, couldn't provide me the study on the spot. That's fair. I asked her in DMs afterwards for the study. She ignored me. I asked her in public in response to one of her tweets later for the study. She ignored me. There's no study. No, that's real, by the way. The idea that people would transition to avoid homophobia is such an, on the face of it, ludicrously stupid position that only a genuine fucking moron could possibly. Okay, whatever. Could it be they feel safer in the world being perceived as male? So, I have to admit, I'm a little bit curious about what this panel is meant to represent. Do we have... So I think this is the same trans guy in the transitional, literally in the transitional process of being socially transitioning as a man. And then you have two, I guess these are meant to be like guys that would otherwise catcall or harass or something. This person looks like a potato, and this person just looks angry. Again, very off-putting vibes from these two. Now, there is a legitimate argument to be had here. It is generally a lot safer to walk around being perceived as male than being perceived as female. That's true. You know? However, I don't think people transition over this. You know? Like, trans people have all these explanations for why they feel the way they do, and TERFs will just ignore all of them and go like, oh, it must be because of the sexism you faced. Do you remember J.K. Rowling doing the same thing? J.K. Rowling did the same thing in her big creepy manifesto where she was like, oh, when I was young, I felt I liked wearing dark clothing. Maybe I would have transitioned back then too. No, you wouldn't have, or if you would have, then you still can. That's not how it works. That was literally in her manifesto. Like this, oh, trans men are angsty because of sexism. Well, I faced sexism, you know? I've worn eyeliner. It's, yeah, okay, yeah. We can save him. Transitioning can still save him. Hold on. Could it be the most books and movies have a male hero and the girls only play supporting roles? I want to be the main character. Again, legitimate feminist critique of society, but do people transition over this? Do people, you know, like you could do this entire comic over again, except delegitimizing homosexuality. You realize that, right? You know? Why do so many young men decide to be gay? Is it because they're told that it's patriarchal to want a traditional family? You know, you could do this with anything. Any social like construct you don't like, you can just invent a bunch of reasons. But what this really is projection, isn't it? The TERF who made this comic is projecting their angst onto it and assuming all trans men must feel the same way they do. And their decision to transition must be a product of them inappropriately responding to the same stimuli, to the same pre-existing and agreed upon sexism. There's no evidence for this, but could it be because they want to be taken seriously? Hey, Dad, I learned a science fact in school today. Wow, James, I'm so impressed. Everyone always listens to James, but I'm smart too. And we see the pattern here, of course. The idea that a person would transition because they're sick of not being listened to. Yes, trans people are... The funny thing is here is that one of the arguments being made in favor of why a girl might transition into a guy is because they want to be listened to, but this comic is a testament to TERFs not listening to trans men explain why they're trans. Like, oh yeah, you'll grow up and transition into a guy and be ignored just as much, you know? Phenomenal. Hi, Dad. I learned that trans men are only trans men because they are responding poorly to sexism, and it's not real. Wow, James, I'm so impressed. Everyone always listens to James. Yeah, like you could... All right. Could it be from all the regressive stereotypes they're taught in school? Gender spectrum, boys, girls, trucks, dirt, girls, dolls, pretty glitter. Right, again, you know, social standards, blah, 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 right. Could it have any... Oh, here, this is a spicy one. Could it have anything to do with social media influencers presenting transition as a cure for all kinds of unhappiness? Instagram. I'm so happy. I'm finally my authentic self. 10K likes. And the thing that I really appreciate about this is that there's nothing in the comic to indicate that the person on Instagram is incorrect. So it really just makes the person who made this comic look like a hater. Like, could it be that they're seeing all these other like happy people being happy, doing the thing that they did to be happy after facing the same feelings that the unhappy person did? Maybe. Well, I don't know. You're kind of making it look look pretty reasonable. Actually, look at how happy they look. They've got a big smile. Yeah, who wouldn't want a smile that big, huh? I like this one too. Could it be because mommy or daddy wants attention too? And here we have an overlap with the far right. Well, not the only one, of course. I made $1 million putting my trans kid on TV because I'm the best mom ever. Come to my book signing. Watch my TED Talk. I love money. I mean, I love my kids so much. And this would be really cool and incisive if this ever happened. What are we like? We're just completely constructing shit in our mind right now. Like the far right is obsessed with this image of like the greedy woke parent who like grifts by forcing their kid into a bunch of bad shit to make money off of it. But the funny thing is, the only evidence we have of people who involve themselves in this discourse for money are the anti-trans people, you know? Like basically every anti-trans like effort or individual is like ruthlessly weaponizes and mischaracterizes these situations for money. Also the detransitioning crowd, you know? If you want to detransition, that's fine. But there are a lot of people who detransition and then they make it their life's mission to make like $8 billion being like a cuck for conservative business interests. And often their detransitioning shit is kind of phony too. It reminds me a lot of Blair White going on Joe Rogan Blair White tweeting that it's crazy how kids are deciding their gender at 5, when in an earlier Joe Rogan podcast, Blair White said, "Yeah, I've known I was a girl since I was 5." That's not a joke. That is a direct and explicit. Blair White has always tried to validate her identity by saying she knew from a really early age. But now, because the fear of groomer parents forcing their kids to transition, as though that was a real thing, is like the mainstream talking point. Now she has to pretend that's not the case. She also said 20-year-olds shouldn't transition when that's when she started, Lamau. Yeah, again, Blair White only really cares about herself, and she's probably like suicidally depressed over her identity and existence. I refuse to believe anyone can be like that without hating themselves, you know? Like I feel like the thing with Dave Rubin where like Ben Shapiro went to his face was like, "Yeah, I wouldn't attend your wedding" or whatever. Like Blair White's every day is that, you know what I mean? Like they're like she's back there at like CPAC or whatever. Conservatives are putting out lit cigarettes on her face, like calling her a man, and she's like, "Okay." And then she goes home and cries. You know, whatever, have fun. You hate on Blair White all you want, but you got to give her credit for one thing. She's more miserable than any trans kid she's ever driven to hate themselves. Really leading the pack there. So anyway, here we have this fake thing. And then we got this classic one. Or because greedy doctors and pharmaceutical companies see a lifelong income stream from children who head down this path. The doctor's thinking about money, but what they're saying is, you say you started feeling like a boy last week, we better get you on testosterone right away. Yes, this is how the medical gatekeeping system works in the United States and in England. Can just yes, if only. The funny thing is, if you want a testosterone diagnosis like right away, you just have to be a cis guy. Like just go to a doctor and be like, dude, my like shit's feeling funny. I don't know. I'm feeling like kind of down. Can you just like fucking roid me up? They're like, yeah, here you go. Be careful. I need more energy. Can you just inject this directly into my asshole? Just sign this informed consent release form that releases me from any future liability. I really like this quote unquote informed consent form. Like the doctors are like, can you just sign this paper with my pen? Like they're making shit sound sinister with the quotes, you know? Could it be normal teen angst exploited by adult groomers? And I like this one too, because once again, we have a really, really, really like incisive title being given to a panel in which nothing wrong is happening. If you think you might be trans, you probably are. Which, yeah, I mean, thinking you're trans isn't a normal thing that people think. I have never in my life for a moment thought that I was trans. Not even one, you know, I just wake up and sometimes, you know, it's never gone beyond like having tits that are big and soft must be nice chin rests when you're sitting at a desk. Everyone's thought that. Come on. Apart from that, though, just hasn't crossed my mind. You haven't? Well, everyone's, thought about having big soft milkies, but just more in a sort of convenient sense. TTTT is going to use this clip. Everyone wants to make me trans. They're not going to get me. You're not going to get me. What if I was trans? What if I'm trans, a trans guy? You'll clock me when I'm dead. You can dig my body up and look at my skeleton. They'll be like, oh, what wide hip? I actually do have really wide hips. But I also have a fat cock. So sorry, no dice. Anyway, I hope we can all agree nothing wrong is happening in this comic panel. Like the title, the caption, it's so, alarmist. Exploited by adult groomers. And like, is grooming taking place here? Well, no, nowhere in this panel. Exploiting? What exploitation is taking place? How does the person in the computer benefit at all from this little bit of advice? Also, what here indicates they're like an adult? As far as I can tell, left Twitter is all like 16-year-old trans cat girls. So, at least they're insufferable enough to be. But all we really see here is a generally true bit of info being delivered over the computer. Could it be a form of magical thinking? Escapism? Intense curiosity? Intense curiosity. What is this? The magical wizard boy? Magic spells? Wait, are we doing a Harry Potter bit here? I wonder what it'd be like to live as a boy. How can I not want to find out now that it's an option? Totally normal thoughts and feelings, by the way. Very normal. How can I not medically and socially transition now that it's possible to? You're completely right. Yes, this is completely normal. Yeah. The mere existence of the ability to cut tits off is all I need to just undergo a massive life change, Could it be loneliness, desire to belong to a community, to not be classified cis-het scum? Mad. This person got called a sissy back in 2019, the person who made this comic, and they've never let it go. I don't fit in with the normal people. Why would I want to anyway? Why be another boring, privileged cis girl? The girls are transitioning because they've checked their privilege. My mom is an asshole, and here's the mom saying no. Here's some people saying, join our glitter family. Okay. I'm your mom now. Do whatever you want. Is this meant to be like that Lives from TikTok teacher? Okay. Look at all the detransitioner. Oh, wait, now we're being appealed to directly. Look at all the detransitioners. There are more every day on YouTube and detrans Reddit. Listen to them. This is how you should make life decisions, by the way, okay? Deliberately seek out, at the behest of a webcomic, specific groups of YouTubers and Redditors, and then uncritically believe everything they say. This is how you do statistics. Why did the adults let me do this to myself? I was just a kid. But the doctors all said it was the only way. I was afraid to say no. Very normal thing that happens again. The doctors saying it's the only way, and people being afraid to say no. Yeah, dude, the doctors were like intimidating you. You were in there just for a regular checkup, and then some fucking Italian mob men, stepped in and blocked the door. Are you ready for your top surgery? No. Are you ready for your top surgery? Okay. There's like Gabagool, a guy with like a baseball bat with some nails sticking out of it, Hey, I'm transitioning here. Yeah. That's a nice kneecap. It would be a shame if something happened to it on account of you not undergoing a lifetime of social transition that I don't benefit from in any way. Ravioli. Now we have all these. Oh, Opening with Fourth Wave Now, which is one of the websites that was used to poll parents for that awful rapid onset gender dysphoria. Remember? When they were like, I'm going to do a study about why trans people transition, asks the transphobic parents pulled from websites that are anti-trans. Documentaries available on YouTube. Dysphoric, Fleeing Womanhood Like a House on Fire, directed by Vaishnavi Sundar. What? Watch it? I don't want to... Hold on. Dysphoric, Fleeing Womanhood, House on Fire. Wow, only 18 typos. Wow, a 4-part documentary. And the first part is 34 minutes. This is 2 hours. Yeah, folks, I'm not watching this. 10 minutes, please. I'll give you 1 minute, but this might be content ID'd. Oh my god. Is it all animated? Oh no, only a bit.
Me a bunch of articles he carefully clipped out from newspapers over many days. All of them were about rapes and male sexual violence committed against women and girls in my country. He didn't show them to me to encourage or empower me to face the harsh reality of women in India. Instead, he told me that if I wasn't careful enough, something similar would happen to me too.
Okay. I mean, it's awful, of
At
course.
35, I cringe when I recollect this memory. Yet my grandfather and my whole family claim to have had my best interests in mind.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I can't watch the whole thing. I just need to know.
Of my breasts and transition into a man to save myself.
Okay, I think we found the relevant part.
Sported short hair and loathed wearing dresses because it brought attention to my womanhood. A pair of jeans, a baggy t-shirt, sports bra and a hat would summarize my wardrobe on most days. Knowing fully well that I had the
Transphobic tomboy GF. What do you think, lads?
privileges that many of my sisters didn't, I keep thinking to myself more than 2 decades later, would I have opted to get rid of my breasts and transition into a man to save?
So they didn't even transition. It's not. So this is just another one of those, well, I used to wear baggy t-shirts when I was a kid, so I'm pretty sure that I would have undergone a lifetime of living as a man. Yes. Dude, they do this so often. All these TERFs, they're like, well, when I was young, I had my short hair once, so I'm positive that I would have had surgeries. Yes. And which means they've had no experience whatsoever with any of the elements of like medical gatekeeping that are imposed in front of trans people, you know. Like they just make it up. Like they have no experience with any of it. Like they're just like, well, from what I've heard, just any old kid can trans these days, and they're just doing it if you got short hair. So it's just like it's nothing. Four parts of this, amazing. Amazing. Oh yeah, we had a trans deuterino win in Bong Bong Land. So that's nice. Bong da Dong Land. Bing bada bong dong da bida bing bing dum ba bum ba bum. In what land? Brit Bong. What is Bong Bong Land? Brit Bong. Well, anyway. I think we get the gist. Anyway, I think you can tell, and I think this reaffirms what I've said before, but the attitude towards trans men from TERFs, broadly, is one more of like contemptible patronization, right? Like, they're so patronizing, you know. With trans women, they're like, you are literally appropriating femininity. You are going to kill us. You want to rape us. No, I don't have any statistics proving that happens at all. No, you know. But with trans men, it's more like, when I was 11 years old, I once wore a baseball cap. If I was 11 today in that same cap, would I spend $60,000 on associated transition surgeries? You know, Yeah, the law system shit. Yeah, exactly. It's very, very different vibes, but it's so fucking dumb. It's so fucking stupid. Yeah. It's also, by the way, unironically misogynistic. They view trans men as women, of course. And according to them, women are really fucking stupid. You know? Like, at least they portray trans women as like conniving demons and sexual predators. At least there's some kind of malicious, devilish intent assigned there. But for the trans men, it's just like, yeah, I guess they're just so weak and stupid that experiencing sexism made them want to just like accidentally upend everything in their life. Okay, great attitude towards who you perceive to be women there, I guess. Yeah, very infantilizing, yeah. Yeah, Tempest, you're beefed. Um No, NB Champ, don't look for logic in their arguments. You'll find none. Just the only reason we go over stuff like this is because it's important to understand, to laugh at, and also to know how to make fun of them. Which, in the case of TERFs in particular, I feel like there's a particular rhetorical effectiveness to doing that. You know, oh, when I was 12, I once chewed baseball gum, and I skipped in the dirt. And if I was alive today, I'm positive I would have had them shoot me full of testosterone the next morning. You know, or some shit like that. I once burped in front of my mom. If I was alive today, you know what I mean. If I was alive today, hey, I wish TERFs could say from hell, I wish I was alive today. Ah, give me fellas, because they suck. Hey, moving on. So Pog, patron of mine, sniffing Jack Russell. What? Oh, the mind-sniffing Jack Russell got awarded a medal by the president. Aww. Zelensky gave a medal to a bomb-sniffing dog. The fact that we've always treated military service animals like military servicemen has always been a weird, like, quirk. You know?
A dedicated service. A service dog called Patron.
Happy dog.
Okay. That's a very special decoration for the young dog.
God. Very silly. Pet the dog, you coward. Yeah, I wonder how the dog's trained for that. Hold on. Somebody linked this earlier. Anarchist Collective. This is on Vice, which gives it a decent degree of legitimacy. They have bunny cops now. They sniff drugs. Huh. Way to co-opt bunnies. Anarchist Collective shares instructions to make DIY abortion pills. DIY medicine. This is not a place of medical advice. Let's read the article. DIY medicine collectives are preparing for the horrifying prospect Roe v. Wade will be overturned. Oh, it will be. With the Supreme Court post, the Four Thieves Vinegar Collective first demonstrated how to make misoprostol tablets, which are used to induce an abortion, at the Please Try This at Home conference. That is a wonderful name for a conference. In Pittsburgh in 2019. Last year, after Texas passed near total abortion ban, Michael Laufer, who ran the collective, published a 17-minute video how to make the pills at home. Okay. Besides being used to medically induce abortions, misoprostol is being used to treat ulcer in horses. Yes! We had MAGA horse paste, and now we have, he, him, lesbian horse pills or whatever. I don't know. Anarchist horse pill. Yeah, Antifa horse pills. Thank you. Let's go. for experience with a dose. Press into pills using a scale, corn syrup, powdered sugar, a spray bottle, and pollen press. What's the effectiveness? They explain that a 3-dose regimen of misoprostol is 85% effective to reduce abortion. If taken with mifepristone, another abortion pill, that rate rises to 95% effectiveness, the raw misoprostones. So only 85% effectiveness with a 3-dose regimen. I mean, that's definitely better. Is it safe? You know, oh my God, this is so authentic. The anarchist group has their DIY abortion pill video posted. Oh, this is on archive.org in case it gets taken down, but it has its own website. Is it? Right? Whatever. 85 is a lot. Yeah, I just wonder like how it impacts weight, what time is effective.
Michael Laufer from the Fourth Use Vinegar Collective here. First things first, if this video is extremely short, it means that the full video has been either blocked or taken down, and there should be a QR code right here, which should take you to the place where the rest of the video is.
Copyright? Wait, what's copyright? Disco Elysium type beat? I don't think that a copyright ID tends to trigger when people are talking over the music. Damn, they got me. The added thing is that drug tests cannot ID misoprostol in the blood, so if the abortion fails, you can go to the hospital with a miscarriage. Interesting. I'll look more into this when I'm not bound by copyright. No, the music, Nino, not the video itself. Okay, we have a couple more things to hit on here. We're finishing up the research that we need to do to get started with the primary and general election involvement for this year. And I was looking for the first time, actually, on the partisan composition of state legislators. Guys, did you know that, like, every state in the United States is, at a state level, controlled by Republicans? Jesus, look at this. This is the state Senate, and this is the state assembly. New Hampshire. Okay. All of them. You know, in an environment with a federal government that is at best incompetent and at worst hostile, having Democrats in state government is going to be way more important. You know, the states here that are blue are not going to be passing abortion bans, I don't think. Whereas a lot of the red states will be. Yeah. Hoofa. So that's cool. Oh yeah. Far be it from me to forget the funny meme. Paul Joseph Watson, the ironically extremely soy-faced bonger YouTuber, just a couple of days ago had his own version of the Richard Spencer leaks, you know? Now, I always feel kind of cucked going over these because if you go over Paul Joseph Watson's content for like 5 minutes, it's very obvious that he's a Nazi. Or at the very least a fascist, you know? It's not exactly subtle, you know? There are probably a lot of like more moderate conservatives that like him, and they're just like kind of too stupid or, you know, like brainwashed to pick up on the signs. So I don't know. I don't know who even cares or like who's surprised by this, but far-right YouTuber and former InfoWars editor PJW said he would like Jewish people to be wiped off the face of the earth. Classic, right there. So that's a classic one for the Nazi types. In the recording made during a party and shared with... He goes to parties? I'm impressed. To my knowledge, by the way, I don't think that he's tweeted since this article came out. He's only been retweeting other people. Yeah, no, he hasn't tweeted since this article came out. So... And he normally tweets quite often, I think, as well. Anyway. And the recording made a 39-year-old Watson. He's 39? Huh. Can be heard saying, I really think you should press the button to wipe Jews off the face of the earth. Hopefully the person he was talking to didn't have that button. The recording was confirmed by 3 secondary sources. Byline Times contacted Watson and his lawyers with numerous requests for comment but received no response. Watson uses a string of racist and homophobic epithets and claims that he is sick of media. I want to make this easier with my editors. You know, they're going to have to bleep me a lot. Media F-slur activists sticking signs up in my face trying to get me to join the gay F-slur Palestinian cause. I don't give a shit about Israel and Palestine. I care about white people. Not sand N-word Jew... Begins with a P, ends with an I? No, I'm asking. Oh, right. That one. Yeah, sorry, that's not as much of a slur here in the States. We don't use it, so I don't think of it. P slur, F slur, C slur. Very imaginative here. One secondary source said they had heard Watson make similar comments on other occasions. Really? They didn't just do it the once? Recordings also shared on social media. Despite being part of the alt-right, a movement that has often repeated anti-Semitic conspiracies, I don't know if it's to our benefit to pussyfoot around this. They're just Nazis. Watson has a quote from the Jewish Voice New York on his Twitter profile and has been defended by right-wing Jewish bloggers as not being anti-Semitic. Okay. Jewish Voice New York told Byline Times that it never endorsed Paul Joseph Watson. Then we talk about the alt-right. In a recent video about the French presidential election, Watson used the murder of a Jewish man in Paris as a rhetorical tool to attack President Emmanuel Macron and then the African migrant communities within France. Blah, blah, blah. It really astonishes me how ineffectively people comment on stuff like that. You know, like they're Nazis, right? You know, it's just Nazi shit. It's funny this would happen right now because Nick Fuentes has also been going through his own drama storm as of like 2 days ago. In fact, I think it happened on the same day, which is quite the coincidence, you know. Yes, the cum couch, of course. Please, can we cover Nick? Oh. What happened with Fuentes? Okay, I admit it. I didn't see anything on Zan's stream, I'm afraid. He did cover this stuff, probably in far more detail than me, but I watched this. It's some Nazi YouTuber. I don't know if they're real big, but they were covering some drama. It was like the fall of Nick Fuentes or whatever. The basic gist of it is this. You're gonna laugh, okay? It turns out that Nick Fuentes, in private, is a bit of a narcissistic sociopath. I know. They were shocked too. Now, it turns out he's a complete psycho. There was a bunch of funny stuff in there, like him lying about money and legal stuff and like threatening people and like people in his own organization, and acting really gay. Like they'll say a lot of stuff is gay, but like I do think Nick Fuentes is gay. You know, like I'll join them. I'm of one mind, you know. If they were doing a trial on his homosexuality and the Nazis called me in as an expert witness, you know, I would testify as a homosexual. He's a bit fruity. But anyway, the basic gist of it is he has a bunch of like more competent political types around him, you know, like other Nazi guys, and they do like the political handling and stuff, and he's kind of ostracized and alienated them by acting like a bitch. And the most recent thing is apparently his so-called best friend and like the right-hand man of the whole movement or whatever. Nick got really mad because he like kissed a girl or whatever, and Nick like bragged about using a black light on the furniture in his former friend's apartment to see if there were cum stains or something like that. But he burnt like a bunch of bridges. The whole thing was really, really funny. No, like they're all psychotic. It's a marked distinction because Nick Fuentes somehow looks like a psychopath next to the other psychopaths that he surrounds himself with. It's remarkable, genuinely. You know what I mean? It like he really has to distinguish himself to be held in that regard. Also, apparently, his cozy.tv streaming website, the one Destiny joined, has a viewer multiplier in the background, and he has far fewer viewers than he claims to. He actually boosts them. The site algorithm makes them appear more numerous than they actually are. So, okay, you know. No, it was really funny. The whole thing. Isn't Cozy a Nazi place? Yeah, it is. He also worships Stalin, apparently. Nick Fuentes, I mean. Which is funny for a variety of reasons, because the other Nazis were like, dude, it's so gay that he worships Stalin and not Hitler. And in my mind, I'm thinking, ideologically, there's no reason why Nick Fuentes wouldn't worship Stalin. Stalin and Hitler were remarkably similar in a bunch of ways. But the other guys there didn't get that because they think of Stalin as a communist, you know. There was no red-brown alliance. There was a brown-brown alliance, okay? It's like shitting brown pants, you know? There was no... Aesthetics aside, it's just funny. It was really fun. I watched it for longer than I care to admit. Yeah, his like Nazi buddy arc, you know, they're like, they come off as reasonable next to Fuentes, which is a remarkable thing. He probably saw that pic of young Stalin when he was hot. Oh yeah, apparently, remember how I've always said that Groypers LARP as tradcaths and it's completely for show? Apparently, Nick Fuentes not only like wouldn't go to church and wouldn't like say grace before a meal, but like scoffed at people doing a rosary prayer during one of his events or something. Oh yeah, and he kept trying to get other people to watch the show Euphoria. Listen, if Nick comes out either as a gay or a trans, I don't claim him, okay? But I will say publicly that, you know, he should live his best life. That's all. My personal opinion, you know. Bet he watches Riverdale or some shit too, Lamau. All of the descriptions of him in the background made him sound like a fucking repressor. Seriously. Like, all the descriptions of him made him sound like a schizophrenic, but like depressed that they're not being treated like a girl. I don't know. There's a lot going on there, you know? Because the issue is here, we're not just dealing with repressor boy moding. We're dealing with that and a Nazi, and fucking insane. And you think you're the reincarnation of Stalin, you know? This is like trying to accurately diagnose the gendered tendencies of Christine Chandler. You know, Chris Chan. There's just so much. There's just so much going on that it's impossible to accurately identify anything. I just want Nick Fuentes to identify her real self. God, it's stupid. Should I listen to this Paul Joseph Watson audio? It's 37 seconds. Let me mute this stream. Let me just see how demonetized this is going to get my channel. I haven't actually heard it. I've only read it. I'm muting the audio. I can hear it. Following audio contains inflammatory and offensive language. Yep. Okay, it's really lingering on this Okay, now I'm hearing it. He's so British. Yeah, it's exactly what the yeah, that's gonna get my channel. No. I'm not gonna put that on my editors. You can look at yourself. It's exactly what we read out loud, except he says it in a British way. So instead of saying like, "Wipe the Jews off the earth," he says, "Wipe the Jews off the earth." You know, like that. That's basically the that's it. You read it out loud. Well, I didn't read the slurs. So it's more bigoted. Everything is made worse when done in that accent. Delinky, you can literally just Google. No, shh, stop. Hello, Annoyed Gamer. Anyway, fun stuff there, fun stuff. You know, we're seeing a like kind of a pruning of the far right, a significant pruning, which is interesting. And time has shown, time and time again, you know, there's been this all of these people who make an effort to be optically safe, they get peeled off as well, you know? Richard Spencer, it happened with him. Nick Fuentes used to be the optics guy, but now he says the N-word every third word, you know? So that's not true anymore, because he got banned from everything, so he was like, whatever. And you know, with PJW, it'll happen eventually to John Doyle. John Doyle's also a Nazi, so I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see how that pans out. I get the impression John Doyle is a lot smarter and a lot less psychotic than Fuentes is by like multiple degrees. Definitely still a little bit homosexual though. For now, yeah, there's a corrosive influence on your brain. Just a little bit. He's smart. He's definitely smarter, you know. Doyle said he was almost a school shooter. Was almost? Feel like he's still gives off the energy. All right, that's enough. That's enough drama mongering. You know, if you want the full story on the Fuentes stuff, go check out Zan's channel. I'm pretty sure he either has or very shortly will put out a video on it, and he probably went way more in depth because he's closer to the drama community than I am. I don't feel scared of any of these people. Fascists keep kneecapping themselves. They don't make it easy for themselves. That's for sure. Cut the segment. I just want to say, guys, I am so glad to be doing a proper stream again. You know, my sleep schedule's been fucked. I fell asleep at 7:30 a.m. this morning and woke up 2 hours later. And my cough is gone. You see? Much more confident with my speech now. Because I'm not worried about coughing if I, you know, exhale for a microsecond too long or whatever. Not for another week, thanks to you, Jason, here. So anyway, wonderful stuff there. I will see how my sleep schedule readjusts, but we'll see how that goes. It's 4:20 weed time. I actually do have something that I need to do though. Before 5. Wow, actually, I didn't expect this much time to pass. Hold on. Let me read donations, and then I have to go. Taco Parade and Sake Tanuki, thank you for the $10 both. I really appreciate that. Have you followed anything about the election to Philippines? They're about to elect the son of a former dictator, and it's pretty scary. Yeah, I've read some stuff about it, and it does seem genuinely fucked. Yeah. It's true, Sake. We need more equal representation in transphobia. Oh, guys, by the way, okay. White Nervosa's been telling me to share this information for a while, and I've held off because I'm a moron. But I do have something interesting to share with you. It's not perfectly rolled out because the 2.0 chat for the site isn't fully operational for mobile unless you are cool like me. But you guys know how I want to make VGG more usable on mobile? This is something I've talked about, you know, a decent amount. And an app. Well, you can add a web page to your home screen and basically make it an app. See, the issue is, and this is the case all over the place, even YouTube, Twitch, or whatever, but it's really difficult to have a live stream and a functioning chat operating at the same time on a browser on your phone. You know? Like, it's very, very different. Let me see if I can show you. Because if you're running it through Safari the way I am right now, you know, like this, you have extraneous UI elements at the bottom and the top because you're using Safari. And in addition, the phone has to like hold all of the information associated with Safari. But you can actually just add it to homepage. Like there's a button that you can press. The little middle button where it says like copy or add to reading list or whatever. There's one called add to homepage. And then if you just add it to homepage, like I've just done right here, you have the website, except there's no extraneous UI elements at the bottom and the top, and it loads significantly better. In my experience, like I tried it for a while. I understand that I sound like a massive boomer right now, but I tried it for a while and actually worked like way better. The chat, you can actually see the chat moving in accordance with like Marco. It actually loaded faster on the phone, see? Than it did on the stream that you're watching this on. Yeah, I don't know. I just did some testing last night and it worked better. There's a version of this that works on Android. There's an analogous form of it that works on Android. I just need to figure out how that works, but a cool app would be so nice though. An app can't happen. If you make an app for an iPhone, it has to go through the the Apple iStore, and it's very difficult to maintain, and they take a huge cut out of all donos. It's like that can't really happen here. Like, you know, it can possibly happen for Android, which I'd have to ask. For iPhone, just doing this is functional, though. It actually makes it a lot better. Though there's currently a bug with mobile chat where when you start typing something, it will put the cursor one letter behind. Like the first letter will appear in front of the typing cursor rather than behind. So if you type out hello, it'll be Eloha. And that happens every time. I'll bother White Nervosa about that. You know. Yeah, it'll be that. Yeah. It's a 30% cut, Gentlefish, I think. It's a funny bug. It is a funny bug. If you're big brain, you can just type around it. You know what I mean? Like anticipate what the last letter will be. Whatever. Anyway, do you understand what I'm talking about? I played around with this last night, and I genuinely feel like, at least for iPhones, after that typing bug gets fixed, for like this makes the UI like a hell of a lot better, you know? I don't know. It works exactly the same on Android? Gotcha. Anyway, the only reason I'm going over this is because I know a ton of people who watch from YouTube do so because they're watching on mobile, and they prefer the smoothness of YouTube's. Trust me, I would love to work with the resources of YouTube, but I do like people being on my site for fairly obvious reasons. And if this is like a workable solution that improves things, yeah, you know? Okay, let me read these donations fully because I actually really have to go. I have to get somewhere before 5. Ghost Forzo and French Vanilla Ice, thank you for the tier 1 subs. I really appreciate that. Abato Parader and your boy Shamoy, thank you for the $5. Really appreciate that. Gotcha, your boy Shamoy. Thank you very much. Rani the Witch Undress. Oh, thank you. Ah, yes. The Coomer posting. Nariatius, thank you for the tier 3 sub. I really appreciate that. Abado Parader and your boy... Wait, I just did that one. Thank you. Birdler, thank you for the very kind tier 4 sub. Tell me who to vote for Oregon Gub primary Dylan Burns. Vote for whoever your heart tells you to. I don't know the candidates there. And Krongo with the tier 4 sub. Ayo, got an offer from Microsoft, so throwing some coconuts your way to make up for my future contributions to Evil Monolith. I'll try to unevil what I can. Good, and thank you. I'm holding you morally accountable for every single crash that I have from now on. Birdler, I'm afraid I haven't done the research on Tina Kotek versus Tobias Reed for the Oregon primary for governor. Just look at what positions they hold and, you know, who's got the right endorsements and stuff. Morgan and Guilty, thanks to the tier 1 sub. Oh, Morgan says, because they donated this earlier in the stream, Hello, Vosh. I don't know if you'll see this, but thank you for pulling me out of the right-wing anti-SJW cesspit. Oh, my pleasure. Holic Master, thank you for the $10. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Uwu, thank you for the 5. I'll look at the results in a bit. J Jangmo, oh, thanks to the tier 1 sub. Right on cue, conservatives are mad the new Doctor Who is black and gay. True. Nanya, thank you for the tier 4 sub. I really appreciate that. My sub is up in a few hours. Glad I caught the stream. Be well. True. Wouldn't want to be caught slipping without your tier 4 sub, huh? Sake with 2 consecutive $10 donos. I just want to be able to gift subs on mobile. We will make that happen. And because you fucked everyone's dad, have you had way more gay relationships than straight at this point? With all the dads that I've fucked, sure. Yeah, I would say so. It had to be, right? Because I don't have sex with moms. That's cliche. Annoyed Gamer with the tier 4 sub. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. Sorry about the auto-renew. And Lamp Moths, thank you again for the incredibly kind $300 donation. Genuinely, obscenely kind. All right, people. I will continue to stream more frequently, increasingly, with time. I appreciate your patience. I know that I don't have the most reliable streaming schedule, but what I do have is heart. I'm going to send all of you off to Keffels to raid. So go ahead and be nice, or don't. Start drama, make things terrible for everyone if you want to. Don't do that. That'd be bad. Go and be kind. I love you all very much, and I will see you soon.